Hello, good evening. It's Monday. This is Over and Over and Over Again. My name is Richard. And have we recovered yet from last night's game? It was quite something, wasn't it? Fantastic game of football. Dramatic last-minute winner as well for Arsenal. Great stuff. So we're going to look back on that fantastic game. We're also going to look ahead to the FA Cup fourth round on Friday. Manchester City away. A nice, easy tie for us. So we look forward to that one. And of course, there's been two new signings. One unveiled this evening, and of course, one last week who did, of course, make his debut on Sunday. So we're going to look at all of that stuff coming up the other side of this.
Gives it to Saka on that far side. Bukayo Saka running that loop shot, cuts inside Saka, tries to shot from 25 yards. It's in the far corner. What a great goal that is! Bukayo Saka. The comeback is complete. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 1.
So it's the Arsenal review. And so this evening it is Neil. How are you doing?
Oh, Richard, what can I say? Top of the world.
Well, indeed, top of the world, top of the league, top of everything at the moment, aren't we? Which is nice to see. I mean, yesterday's game. I mean, what an amazing game of football. First of all, wasn't it? You know, the fact that we won it made it even better. But what a great game, wasn't it, to watch?
Unbelievable. It was a throwback, wasn't it, to the old, for me, the greatest Prem rivalry ever. I still say that now. They talk about Klopp versus Pep and Liverpool, Man City, and it was Wenger-Ferguson was the Prem rivalry, has been, and in my belief, it always will be. And now it looks like it could be maybe an Arteta Ten Hag, because it was a great game, really, really exciting, full of action, end to end at times, had all the hallmarks of those old rivalries and classic matches. Absolutely loved it, Rich. Loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game, and I mean, on this show, over recent weeks, recent months, even, we've not necessarily you, Neil, particularly, but certainly me and one or two others have maybe asked a few questions of this group of players in terms of mentality, in terms of all this kind of stuff. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago before the Tottenham game, and what's really impressed me is they're showing that they've got all of these answers to the questions that we may have had about them. They've shown character. They went away to Tottenham, dominated that game, 1-2-0. We came from behind against Manchester United, who are in good form. They played well, actually, yesterday, and we came from behind and won. And these are the sort of questions that, up until the last few weeks in particular, maybe we hadn't always had the answers to. We'd won the games that we'd played, fantastic, but I never quite felt that we'd had the opportunity to show that maybe enough. The last few weeks, we've shown it in abundance, haven't we? And I think any doubts that any of us may have had are being dispelled week after week at the moment. And it's good to see, isn't it? I mean, I know you've not had any doubts yourself, have you? So, I mean, it's probably just standard for you. You was expecting it all. Whereas maybe some of us wasn't quite expecting the response that we've seen. But it's been great. Made it, for me, I'm over the moon, because I wasn't expecting to see us do these things that we've done. And it's been brilliant.
No, I mean, it's not a smugness from me. I mean, no, I mean, to be a fair, start of every season, I always say, look, we're in all 4 competitions. We've got to win all 4. Why not? There's no point being in it if you're not going to win it, or at least do well. But if you remember the pod we did very early, it might have been in pre-season pod, where I just saw that something special about them in the friendlies. There was something different. And I know a lot of people can say, yeah, but it's only a friendly. It's not real. And yes, that is correct. But there was just something magical just with the injection of those 3 new players. Well, Saliba's not a new player, but he kind of was. And then obviously Zinchenko and Jesus. And it literally just transformed the team for me, just even as early as that. And that's why I was saying, I think we're going to be quite special. Do you remember me saying, Rich, very early on, I said it almost reminds me of the Invincibles team. And if we look back to one of those podcasts, and it's starting to shine through that, in the sense of not maybe necessarily in terms of the caliber of the players and the style of play, but the attitude, the mentality. Yesterday was a shining example of that, where we were behind, and we stayed in character. The players knew their roles; they knew exactly what to do. They played with structure, they played with purpose. They didn't let their heads drop, and they just carried on doing what they've been, I suppose, told to do in training and what they've been instructed to do. And then, of course, we took the lead, and then they came back at us again, and again, they didn't panic. You see, that's for me the two differences between the two matches between Man United this season. When we play them at Old Trafford, and don't get me wrong, I think that's still one of the best performances we've had, but we lost. But however, I think what happened was we had 2 moments of madness, and I think we also panicked as well because we were in such control, and yet they still, went in front. And I think when they went 3-1 or 2, maybe it might have even been 2-1, they went in front. Arteta changed it a lot. He brought on loads of subs at the same time. He balanced the team. This time I saw none of that. I just saw them keeping to their game plan, probably saying to themselves, Arteta saying, at the end of the day, we're still in control, we're still doing well, just keep it going as it is. And that showed a very stark maturity for me, that they've really even grown up, even from that game, which was this season. So it was all about that. It was all about the attitude and mentality, and most importantly, Rich, the hunger. It's like, who's not going to, this day and age, look how well Man United have been playing. They've done a nine games on the trot without defeat or wins or whatever it is. They're doing something quite special. All of a sudden, I think I heard that in 26 games, when they've scored first, they haven't lost. And so they're a good side at the moment. You could potentially classify them as one of the candidates for the championship. And yet, so going on that, many teams in the Premiership, as it stands now, would probably be quite satisfied with the draw, and not us. And that for me shows the desire and the hunger, Rich. And that you have to say says a lot about the characters and personalities in that team.
100%. And I say, and they were the question marks that I had over this group of players, and maybe the manager as well, because recent history has kind of shown that maybe they haven't been able to show that mentality in the big games when it mattered over the last couple of years. And that was always in the back of my mind. Can we respond? And yesterday followed on from the back of the Tottenham game as well, of course, last week, that we saw quite clearly, like you said there, we didn't panic, we went behind, we just carried on playing our game, we got level, we got in front, and it was all looking rosy for us. Yeah, we conceded a sloppy goal for the second one. It was a soft goal to concede, let's be honest. Yeah. But again, we didn't panic. I was with about 15 minutes to go, I'm thinking, Smith Rowe was on the bench, Trossard was on the bench. I'm thinking, make a change, an attacking change to win the game. And he seemed reluctant to do it. Eventually, 6-7 minutes to go, he brought Trossard on, and it made the difference. And that's what you pay £21 million for a player. I mean, yes, he didn't create the goal, but he was involved in it, wasn't he? He brought the ball forward, played it out to Zinchenko, and and that's what you pay the money for, and that's what we wanted. That's what we was lacking, maybe against Newcastle, someone to come off the bench who could break the team down and get the winner. So these are all things now that suddenly you look at them and you're thinking, right, okay, any doubts that were lingering away in the back of my mind, and there was a few, are being dispelled on a regular basis now, week after week. And it's great to see, because that's all of us have ever wanted. What we want to see is an Arsenal team that can compete again, because we've had to wait a long time. We haven't won the league for 19 years, and we haven't even competed for a league title for, you could maybe say 2016, but even then you couldn't really call it a league title challenge, I don't think. So it's been such a long time, and to be in this position now halfway through the season with 50 points, I mean, wow. I mean, I know you, obviously from the start of the season, I know you were really optimistic. You said in the pre-season games, and yes, friendlies are friendlies, you're right, but you noticed some things within the new players, and you've proved that's what's happened. And it's not just about that. I think the new players have helped, obviously. I just think it is that mentality change, and maybe what happened at the end of last season, the way that we fell away when it was in our hands at top four. Maybe that's actually was a good thing now, looking back on it. At the time, we were frustrated, and we wish that hadn't happened. But maybe looking back on it now, perhaps that was a blessing in disguise, because it seems to have reinvigorated everybody, made everybody more determined. You can see some of those players that played last season, Martin Odegaard, for example, Martinelli, all these players that suffered that disappointment last season, almost like, we're not going to suffer that again, and that's something in football and in Arsenal's history as well. It goes back, doesn't it? We lost a couple of League Cup finals in the late 1960s, and it brought about the double winning team. You know, it's happened before, hasn't it? You know, we lost to Luton in the League Cup final in 1988. We won the league the following year. And sometimes those disappointments drive you on. And that seems to be what's happened. That's what I've noticed this season. The more the season's going on, it's like they're not accepting what happened before as we're not going to go through that again. And maybe, I say at the time we didn't see it, but perhaps that was a blessing, wasn't it? Maybe not getting top 4 last year. Because would we have been ready for the Champions League as well as what we're doing now? I'm not sure.
No, do you know what? Actually, Rich, that's a good point. I completely agree with it. I think it was a blessing, and no, I don't think it would have done us any favors being in the Champions League as well. I think for me, look, for us, because under Wenger we missed out on that trophy. We've never actually won the European Championship. It's a massive, massive coup if we can win that with that trophy. Of course, it's something that will, complete our set. It's just the one thing that's eluded us all these, in the history of the club. So of course we want it. We want it desperately. But you know what? If we were in that competition this season, would we have been doing, or could we go on as I predicted to win the league? Would that happen with us being with that distraction? In fact, that might be the thing that works in our advantage or our favour, because it's what Manchester City wants so badly. Because Pep's that's the one thing that he hasn't got yet, but managing Man City, and I've got a feeling he'll probably want that a little bit more. He won't obviously admit it ever, but maybe deep down inside, he'll probably want that a little bit more than the Prem, and that might work in our favour going forward. We don't know, but I'm pleased. You're right. I'm pleased that we're not in it. A lot of fans will probably say, "What the hell are you talking about?" That's it's blasphemy. But let's start to walk again before we can run. Let's get that Prem title, because for me, 38 games in a season and winning it, that shows that, for me, that is the biggest thing. It's the consistency. You are better than the rest in the whole of the English league, not just the Prem. You're the champions of the English league. It's monumental. And then maybe from there we can go on and build. If we go on to become the Prem champions, who knows the kind of players we might attract in the summer. We could even build even more, and we do need to still bolster, I think, in this squad. It will really set us in good stead for the future. So I think that is a very good point. I think the disappointments of the past, there has been some patterns where we've lost out and then we've come back the next season and, done really well. The word you used, reinvigorated, absolutely 100% there. I forgot to say, we're all forgetting one thing. Whilst we're all enjoying our Christmas and everything, I'm sure a lot of us were still a bit concerned. January, we got quite a hard start, and having Newcastle, Tottenham, and Man U all in a row, now that's no easy task. And Rich, we got 7 out of 9. We got 7 out of 9. Oh, come on! You've got to give us anyone's got to give Arsenal credit for that. Incredible. 100%. Just incredible.
No. It has been, and I say this is what I mean. I think you're right. Coming into the new year, I think we looked at some of the fixtures and you're thinking, wow, that's a difficult run of games. Not that Tottenham are any good, but going away to Tottenham's always been a game where we lose generally in recent years. So you're looking at the fixtures and you're thinking, this is not necessarily completely a season-defining run of fixture, but it was certainly very, very important. It was going to teach us a lot about this team and where we might be able to go. And like you said, 7 points out of 9 is incredible. What an incredible haul, and much more than I think most people realistically would have expected. We'll hope for 7 or 9, but realistically, did we think we'd get 7 out of those 9 points? Probably not. So to have done it in the way that we did as well, dominant against Tottenham, and to deal with the adversity that we had to go through yesterday in that game. Although we did play well, we were behind, and we got pegged back again, and we still kept going. And I can remember maybe a year or so ago, we were saying quite often on the channel that in a game where maybe we were drawing or we were losing in the closing stages, we didn't throw everything at it. We didn't seem to be throwing everything at it. Do you remember? And obviously yesterday, that was the one thing you couldn't say, because that's what we did do. The last 15 minutes, we threw everything at it. And we did against Newcastle, didn't we? We threw everything at it. We couldn't get the goal on that particular night. But yesterday, we threw everything at it. And, whatever you think about, Man United played, and they did play well, whatever people think about the game as a whole, we deserve to win that. We got what we deserved because we tried to win that game in those last 15 minutes. And, that's all we want to see. Newcastle was frustrating, but at least we went for it in that last 10, 15 minutes and tried to win the game. And last night we did, and we got our reward. And to me, that shows that shift in mentality, maybe from a year or 18 months ago, or, you know, even maybe closer time than that, actually, when we haven't always done that. We haven't always looked as though we're doing that. You know, a lot of sideways passing in the last 10 minutes when we need a goal and stuff. And yesterday it wasn't. It was get the ball forward, put them under pressure, and eventually they cracked and we got the goal. I mean, it was great. Actually, we just got a few comments and we'll just go through first. Mark says there, I had my head in my hands when the third goal went in. I couldn't celebrate as I felt. Here we go. VAR will rule this out. Yeah, I think we all felt that, really. So I was relieved. I hate second guessing myself now when we score. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with VAR, isn't it? And we've been on the wrong end of so many decisions like that sometimes you don't want to celebrate the goal too quickly because it might get disallowed and you're going to feel stupid. But yeah, I must admit, when it first went in, I didn't think there was a problem. Then you saw a replay and you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, it's a bit 50-50. And then obviously VAR did its job.
Do you know what?
The right call.
I was completely still because I went in and I thought, no, I'm not going to celebrate yet because we obviously it was against Man U that legitimate goal was ruled out, which they now have actually admitted was incorrect.
Yeah. Right.
And at the moment currently, because I'm staying at mum's, so she's sitting next to me and she's going, "No, we scored. We've won. And I'm like, and I wasn't even answering her. I was just saying, I'm waiting. I'm going to wait because you wait, something's going to go against us. And Mark's completely right. You know, we get the wrong end of the stick with so many occasions. It's almost like becoming ingrained in us. No. You be pragmatic. Hold back. Wait until that decision. But oh boy, when it was given, wow. Rich, it reminded me of straight away. I even tweeted it. I looked back and I remembered I was in the pub down the road here where my mum lives, and I was watching Man United's Arsenal in one of our epic encounters. I think it was when Wenger's the first season. I think that was. You're probably correct. No, it was when we won it in '98. We won the double in '98. And we beat Man United 3-2 with
3-2. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And you know what? It just hit home, and I thought that's a really good omen because we went on to win the league from there. So you never know.
The double.
Yeah, the double. Well, do you know what? We've obviously got a big game coming up with that, but you never know. You never know, Rich. Who knows?
No, I mean that's right. I mean, yeah. Funny enough, obviously beating Man United 3-2. It's happened a few times in our history. It was big games, and yeah, I didn't really think of that at the time. But now you've mentioned it, that game does spring back, doesn't it? The game from the 97-98 season when we did win 3-2, and I think we came from behind in that game as well, didn't we? I seem to remember. I think Man United were leading then because I remember Sheringham scored, didn't he? So, omens, if that's anything to go by. Terry's in the chat as well. He says, evening, Richard and Neil. What a great end to the weekend. Indeed. I mean, it was a great end to the weekend. Loki as well says, good evening, Loki. Hope you're well. Terry says, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world indeed. Yeah, come on, you guys, bring on City. Yeah, we'll talk about City a bit later as well. Loki says, got a good point there. Winners of things win late. They do. Exactly right. They do. It's that mentality thing, isn't it? You believing that you're going to win regardless of how long's left of the game or how the game's going. It's that belief, isn't it? And that's what we've got. The run that we've been on has helped, obviously, to make you believe you can win. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Winners of things do win things late. Man United used to make a habit of it. Fergie time. That's where it come from, isn't it? Because they used to score in the 98th minute every single week, and that's what happens. And we've done it to them, which is nice, isn't it? Terry says, loving the silly permanent grin on Neil's face, very well deserved, and smug loving it. Yeah, well, I mean, Neil's been right all the way through the season, so we have to give him, he deserves to be smug because he's been saying it all through the season. We're going to win the quad. We can't win the quad now, but the treble's still on, so maybe we'll win that. We'll have to see. Phil says they're still buzzing from yesterday. Yeah, we all are, I think, really. I think we're all buzzing from yesterday. And Loki says we're safe from relegation in January. Yeah, I think we are. 50 points, I think, probably keeps us safe just about for another season. Be about 102 now, will it? Next season, 103 maybe in the top division in a row. So that's nice to celebrate that as well. Terry says what a nice feeling seeing the calibre of Trossard coming off the bench. We're going to talk about Trossard in a minute as well. I mean, that was fantastic. Loki says the league is most important. I 100% agree with that. As Neil said before, and I 100% agree with that. The 38 games in your domestic league, that you're the best team if you win that. You can win a cup as well. Yeah, fantastic. That's great. But you only sometimes have to win 6-7 games to win a cup. You have to get through 38 games in what is the most difficult league in the world to win the Premier League. and that is 100% most important. I agree. I'd sacrifice everything else now to win the league this season. I'd sacrifice the FA Cup. I'll sacrifice the Europa. I wouldn't normally do that because I want to win everything, but the Premier League, we haven't won it for such a long time, and are we ever going to get an opportunity like this? We're probably never going to have 50 points at the halfway stage again, are we? Let's be honest. So, I would say let's focus everything on trying to win that league. That's what I would be wanting to do now. Terry says, Neil's getting drunk on happiness. Yeah, well, I think we all are. So we'll see what happens there. Terry says, Terry promoted to star. Well, he's a star because he's a member of the channel. So if you want a star as well, Loki, just become a member and you'll get a star as well. But obviously Terry's star will be the most important because he was the first one. And being first at anything is what's it all about, isn't it? Terry says, I hope your mum's feeling better, Neil. Indeed, yeah, I hope she is, yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, it's difficult to find too many things that aren't positive about that game yesterday because it was such an exciting game of football. From the first minute to the last, it was two teams. And like you said, Neil, before, the heyday of Arsenal Man United games from the 90s and stuff like that, when it was the biggest game of the season, whoever won generally won the league. And it was two teams not only going for it in terms of football, going for it in terms of fighting each other, but on the pitch all the time. So it was a little bit of a throwback to you, maybe not with the fighting side of it, but certainly from the football, it was attack after attack from both teams. It was great football and it was good to see. And we've seen a lot of, I think, negative games from some of the big teams this season against each other. We saw Chelsea, Liverpool on Saturday, a boring game, and we've had a lot of them this season, but it's been nice that we got a big game against two of the teams in the top four and it was an exciting game. And that was refreshing more than anything as well, wasn't it? To see a game like that played against teams like that with so much at stake as well, because normally you don't really get it. It's a bit more cagey, isn't it? I was surprised how open it was from the start, really.
Yeah, again, right. I think exactly that. It's you sometimes get to a point where two teams who might be on form, playing really well, and it's almost like that they just they
cancel each other out, don't they?
That's the expression I'm looking for. They just cancel each other out, and it's like it's almost like sometimes you pay each other too much respect.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
as a result, that results in the caginess, as you just mentioned. And I totally agree with that. But God, that was completely different. That was on the polar opposite. They just both went for it right from the start. And it's now it's easier for us to look, because I just watched Match of the Day just before I came on here. And knowing the result, of course, it was so easy to watch. It was just because and now I could enjoy the football a little bit more because the result, you know that we've been victorious and you've seen the outcome. But when you're in it, it's still the matter of how good the football is. As an Arsenal fan, you're watching that, you're thinking, oh God, please, But do you know what? The weird thing is, Rich, even when they came back at us and 2-2, obviously it was disappointing. And I think that was probably one of the only negatives. I think Ramsdale probably could have done a bit better. And I don't want to.
He seemed to be a bit in two minds, didn't he? Whether to catch or punch, and in the end, he didn't do either, did he? And he didn't get enough connection on it. But
it's a very rare thing for him to, because he's normally quite either he'll do one or the other. But it was probably just a moment of panic, and we're all human. We're all going to experience that. No one's, even the great footballers sometimes make mistakes. It's not going to be a clear, perfect. How can you say? Story for all our players going forward that they're going to be absolutely perfect all the time. It's not possible. It's not possible. Mistakes are going to happen, but it's how we react and you move forward from those mistakes or errors. And we've shown that we're not going to take any nonsense if we make an error and we acknowledge that. I mean, he acknowledged it. I remember the camera pans on him and he kind of did a kind of nod to himself.
Yeah,
and he's almost said, "Yeah, that's me. That's down to me." And
he said it on social media as well, didn't he? Today, he kind of put his hands up and said, glad that the lads got me out of trouble, if you like. I wouldn't say it was a bad mistake, but he should have. He could have done better with it, couldn't he? We all know that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think there weren't very many negatives for me because of the attitude and the almost the drive of them to not kneel, kill over and die. They were going to be victorious, and that's our motto, isn't it? It's one of those things where no matter what happens, even if we get a bad VAR decision, I think our players would have just carried on right till the end. You're talking about the attitude and the change of attitude. That exactly, it's there in abundance. But the way I see this team now, mistakes will happen, but I think we've got enough in there to mitigate those mistakes. That's the point I'm trying to make. I think there's just too much about this team. And you know what? You've got to give credit to Arteta for what he's done, because he has created this environment and this culture. It's through him that so much has changed, even within the fan base around the ground. Rich, you know, it's everyone is now behind the team. If we fall behind or the opposition scores a goal, the crowd are the same. If anything, they raise their noise levels. And that's something that never used to happen, because everyone's head used to drop. Not only the players' heads used to drop, all the fans around and, oh, here we go again. You know, that kind of attitude. But now it's the complete polar opposite of it. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring not only to the fans watching, but that spills over to the players. And I think, who was it in the interview said that? He said that I think it might have been Saka. He said it makes such a difference.
It was Saka,
because it makes such a difference when you hear the crowd getting behind us, even if the opposition scores, or even if we go 1-0 down. And he goes, you don't realise how much that means to us and what it does to us. So we have got our 12th man, especially now at the Emirates. We have now got our 12th man almost, if you like. I mean, it's a figure of speech, but it does help. Even if it helps by 1%, 1% could be crucial. I just loved everything about everyone in that team. Can I quickly mention Trossard? I think it was only a short space of time he came on, but he looks like an Arsenal player already. The way that we play and the style that we're playing in. And I think, do you know what? I just by watching match of the day, literally before I came on here, I can see that he's going to link up really well with Zinchenko. I can see a real special partnership forming between those two. I could be wrong, and it's only one little thing I've seen, but let's hope for the best. And I think he'll be invaluable to us going forward, because we needed that depth.
Yeah.
For sure.
We did, and also as well, I mean, again, it's something we've mentioned on the show. It seems strange that a lot of the kind of questions that we've asked, it won't just be us here. I mean, I think Arsenal fans in general have asked the questions. What we needed was one or two players of a little bit more experience, a little bit older, that have maybe played in the Premier League, that know what it's about, and they're the sort of players that we needed to bring in. And Trossard was, for me, the perfect signing at this time to come in right now, because that's what we need, a player with experience. People say, oh, he's only played for Brighton, he hasn't won anything in the Premier League. No, but he knows what the league's about. And he's got that. He's a little bit older. He's not a 21-year-old kid like a lot of the team are, and he adds that little bit of experience, doesn't he, into the squad, which was so important. And also as well, the quality. Like you rightly say, as soon as he came on, it's like the first time he touched the ball, it's like, he's an Arsenal player. You could just see it straight away. He looked at home, and I think he's going to be. I think he could prove to be one of the best signings we've made for a very long time, because he's got all of the attributes. I mean, Loki says there, Trossard has versatility. He does. He has versatility, which obviously is fantastic. But I think you're right about Zinchenko, actually, because they did seem to have a good understanding. But where's that going to leave Martinelli? Because I think Trossard's best position is playing on that left-hand side. I think that's where he's going to be best. That is where he's probably going to play most of the time. So that's obviously where Martinelli's been playing. Martinelli's been playing well. Where would that leave Martinelli? Because, I mean, it's good to have competition for places, and that's what we wanted. But it's a dilemma, isn't it, for Arteta now? Because Trossard he needs to play more minutes in the team. He might well play Friday. We'll talk about it in a minute. But where does that leave Martinelli in this team now? Is he going to maybe play more as a central role, do you think? Or not? Because Eddie's doing the business, isn't he?
It's a great headache, right, Rich?
Yeah.
Great. I'd rather Arteta had these decisions to make than not.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. Now, I've always been a kind of how can you say, an advocate for Martinelli to move into the centre.
Yeah.
But actually, Eddie, I've got to say, James has been spot on about Eddie from day one. And we say the chat. There's a chat that we got, and we're like, James, no, he's got to go. You know, he's not doing it. He's been given loads of time. And James, no. You watch. If he's given the chance, if he's given the games. He's a poacher through and through. And do you know what?
He is, yeah.
He scored, what is it, 9 out of... How many? Is it not 7 out of 7 or 9 out of 7? He's doing well.
I think he's got 7 in the last 9 games, yeah.
7 in the last 9 games, that's it. I knew there was something to do with the way those... And everyone was, again, another worry. Jesus injured and like, oh no, the team's going to get imbalanced. What are we going to do? We've got to rely... Eddie's got to step up, but can he do it? Do you know what? I can't fault the guy. He's amazing, to score and twice against Man U on form. That's nice, and it's nice to see that the kids that have grown up with Arsenal, the Hale End lot, Hale End boys. It's nice to see that they really are. I think we've got a great academy, Rich, as well. Just touching on that, just digressing a little bit. I think maybe we've got one of the best academies in the country at the moment, because we are producing some real stars and some real good footballers. So sometimes when we're worrying about, oh God, we've got to get someone in and it's going to command a stupid wage or a stupid price tag, we don't really need to look that far. We can look at our own academy and start nurturing those players, because a lot of them now are coming good and coming to fruition. So I think, a player like Trossard, he's definitely going to need minutes, as you said, 100%. What does Arteta do? I'm glad he's got that headache. I think he'll just give him the opportunity to rotate. I don't think Martinelli should be worried, because I think another good thing that Arteta has done by getting rid of some of those egos that we used to have in our squad is they are all seeing the bigger picture. They're all playing for each other. And I'll tell you one moment that I saw yesterday after the final whistle that made my heart melt was Jesus hugging Eddie and congratulating him. And he was genuinely happy. It wasn't a false thing. He was genuinely happy. And that for me spoke volumes about the culture that Arteta has instilled in this club. And it's like, yes, you might not be playing every single game or every single minute of every game, but he's got them all, on board with this whole vision of his and where we're going. So I think there might be times when Martinelli might miss out. There might be times when Trossard misses out. But believe you me, I think we're going to become such a good squad of players that we're going to be fighting on more than one front quite consistently going forward. So players are going to get their chances for sure. We're talking about Friday. You just watch. I mean, I don't know whether it's the right decision to make, but I can see Turner coming back into goal, taking Ramsdale's place. So, he's going to get his opportunity again. So it's things like that. We'll have the opportunities. Yes, it helps the more competitions we're in, and that necessarily always doesn't come to fruition. However, at the moment, we are still fighting on three fronts. So I think for this season, they will get their chances. But, I'm not scared to play give Martinelli a try in the middle, maybe even on Friday, rest Eddie, and put Martinelli in the middle and put Trossard on the left. Who knows?
Trossard's cup tied, I believe. I don't think he can play in the FA Cup because I think he played for Brighton in the last round. But I mean, the good thing is we've needed more options, because that was one thing that we didn't have. It was the first 11, and sometimes we're hardly making any substitutions, certainly not attacking substitutions. We're bringing on Rob Holding quite often when it's 1-0 or whatever it was, like we did yesterday. But I mean, you're right, actually. I did want to talk about Eddie Nketiah because I think a lot of us maybe didn't feel he was the right player for this time when we're battling for what we're battling for, trying to win a Premier League title. A lot of us were thinking, I agree with you, is Eddie Nketiah the type of player, if we had to rely on him to play 15 games, would he be good enough to get the goals that we'd need in the position that we're in? And I think a lot of us were thinking, not sure. But he's certainly stepped up, hasn't he? Like we said, 7 goals in 9 games with Jesus injured. He couldn't have done any more. Let's be honest. He couldn't have done any more. He's done everything that we've asked of him. And yesterday's 2 goals. What I liked about yesterday's 2 goals was they were poachers' goals, weren't they? 6-yard box goals. And that's something that we don't score enough of, I don't think, as a team. And it's nice that we got 2 6-yard box goals. And Eddie does that a lot, doesn't he? He got a 6-yard box goal the other game as well, didn't he? A couple of weeks ago. And that's what he does. He gets in that 6-yard box and he's there to finish things off. And he gives us that little extra dimension in the final third that maybe Jesus, for all his brilliant play that he's done, he maybe doesn't do that, does he, in that 6-yard box? He's not that sort of a player, and Eddie brings that to the team, and and I think that's been great. And well played, Eddie. I do want to say that because I think a few of us didn't think he was going to be able to step up and do the job, and he has, and he's proved everybody wrong, and that's brilliant. And it is good that you've got him, we've got Saka, we've got Smith Rowe coming back from injury. These Hale End lads, as you said, and there's a whole load more coming through, some out on loan, some that are maybe ready to step up in the next couple of years. So that side of things is good. But going back to the Trossard situation, you do need some more experienced players. And, Zinchenko and Jesus as well to guide them along, don't you, to help those young players in difficult moments. And that's what we've got now with Trossard. Hopefully, the rest of this transfer window, maybe the summer and maybe next January, we'll add a couple more experienced players into the mix as well with these young players. And that gives us the right balance then, doesn't it? Because as Alan Hansen rightly says, you win nothing with kids. So you do need to have that balance, you know. So we're getting it now. Obviously, we would say Trossard and Zinchenko and Jesus, that's giving us a better balance in age. And I say one or two more would be great, because I think we're still a little bit, you know, the age of our team is still a little bit young, maybe for what we need. So one or two more would be really good. Loki says it enables players to rest like Saka. Of course, yeah, that's what you need. You need rotation in the squad. You do. I mean, we've played the same starting 11. God knows how many, apart from Jesus coming out for Eddie because he's been injured. It's pretty much the same starting 11 in the Premier League every week. It's been like that for months. So yeah, we need rotation. We need to be able to rotate, and Trossard gives us such good options because of his versatility as well. So that's really good to see. Terry says need to seal the deal with Saka ASAP. Yeah, we do, because his price is going up and up every week, isn't it? I mean, God knows what he'd be worth in the transfer market.
Over 100 easy now, I think.
Well, it depends what you see. The contract situation dictates, doesn't it, how much the player's worth? Because if their contract's up for renewal, they're not worth much at all, are they? No matter how good they are. So it is something we need to sort out, because there's going to be lots and lots of people sniffing around for Saka because he's pretty much the best in the world.
Can't see him going anywhere, Rich. I think he loves the club so much. I just can't see it.
Oh, he does? Oh, of course he does.
Can't see it.
No, I can't see it, but it's still a worry until it's signed and sealed, isn't it? Because, you know, fair enough, if he signs a deal and then someone comes in with £200 million for him and we sell him for 200 million, well, that's okay. We will accept that. But we can't accept getting 25 million for him because his contract's up. That would just be, you know what I mean? That's a big worry, isn't it? Loki says there, Trossard got dropped, I think, by Brighton for the cup. I think he came on. Someone said he'd come on as a sub in that game. I'll check, but I did hear he was cup tied, but hopefully not. But it'd be nice if he can play, because he, you know, like you said, it would give us a chance to rotate and give him more time on the pitch as well. Mark says there, we've got a shitload of games in March and April. Yeah, we do. So no player should worry about game time. No, I don't think players worry about game time so much. It's just picking the right moments, isn't it? You know, when does Martinelli play? Maybe when does Trossard play? Which games? And you know, it's difficult, isn't it? But that's why the managers get paid a lot of money, because they have to make those decisions, don't they? And it's a good, as you said, Neil, it's a good problem to have, isn't it? You're better off having that problem than the opposite problem, when you have to hope everybody stays fit because you haven't got the option to replace them. So you know, it's a better problem to have, and let's hope that it proves to be decisive in the end. And I say I'm really, really excited about Trossard.
Me too.
Signing. He's been a player that I've liked for ages, actually. So it's great that we got him over the line.
Do you know what? I'm really pleased that in a way that the other guy still fell through, because look, I mean, I've got no doubt in my mind that he's going to be an outstanding player. There's something about him that he is, and it would have been nice for someone like Zinchenko to have one of his mates and good mates there at the club with him. So I think he was really pushing for him to join. But having said that, I think it was his missus more than him, wasn't it? I think his missus wanted Mudryk to join more than Zinchenko did. Yeah, anyway. You're right, absolutely. But I feel that the money that we would have had to be paying him could have done a disservice to the players that we've already got. Because obviously he would have come on a high wage if we kind of matched Chelsea. And it's almost like, well, hang on a minute, we've already been here doing it, and all of a sudden this guy's come, he's like played about 12 senior games in his league, and he's like all of a sudden he's earning 4 times more than I am, and I don't know whether that would have disrupted or disbalanced anything off the pitch, if that makes sense. But with Trossard, what you said is exactly right. We already are a very young team. We've still got more to come through. There's some very good stars to come through. We've got the likes of Patino, and there's some other names that could quite easily start breaking through in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Cuffy's doing well, isn't he? Norton Cuffy, he could be the next one as well, yeah.
There you go. So we probably do need, just to kind of get that balance, a couple of slightly senior players. We've got the likes of Xhaka. I mean, Xhaka's been tremendous. Let me just give another shout out to Xhaka. How well is that guy been doing this season? But how much longer has he got at that level? Because he's probably one of the oldest now that we've got. So we need the likes of players like Trossard to come in, and where I can't pronounce his name, but I call him Mad Murdoch from the 80, where he hasn't got the Prem experience. Trossard has. It doesn't matter with it. And Brighton, you say Brighton, But Brighton isn't a bad unit. They've beaten some good teams. I mean, Trossard scored a hat-trick against Liverpool, for goodness sake. You know, he knows the vigours, the pace and the physicality of the Premiership. And that's invaluable, especially in a January signing where we are going for something that is priceless. You can't put a price on that. And I think he's a steal at 21, rising to 27 or 29, whatever it is. But that's a steal. I think that's a really, really very clever and very, very good buy that we've got. And I can see good things from him. And I love, by the way, I love that intro that Arsenal did. That was, I can't stop watching it. That was so nice when it's here, the little snippets of the past to build up to the unveiling. I loved it so much. That was class.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I've just checked actually, and Trossard didn't play in the third round of the FA Cup, so he's not cup tied, so he can play on Friday. So that's a good sign. I just wanted to double check that. Someone had said that he was cup tied, but he definitely didn't play. He wasn't in the starting 11, or wasn't even on the bench. So that's good news. So that means he can be available on Friday for us, which could help us. Terry says Loki's right, Brighton dropped Trossard in the FA Cup. Yeah, well, he definitely didn't play. I just checked the team, which is good. So Mark says he's okay for the FA Cup, which is good news. Also as well today, we have just completed the signing of this dude as well. Probably don't know too much about him at this stage. Polish defender. He did play the World Cup actually, a left-footed centre-back that we've just signed. So he played every minute of Poland's World Cup campaign. So, you know, obviously we've had an eye on him and we've brought him in 6'4", left-footed centre-back. So probably more for the squad at this stage. I'm not expecting him to play much at the moment. He seems like a backup for Gabriel, perhaps. We haven't got another left-footed centre-back, have we? So that makes sense to sign him. He's never a young player, 21, I think he is. But a Polish international player at the World Cup. So I'm sure he's going to be a decent player for us. And he looks like he's a big lad as well. So that's all good news on that side of it as well. Terry says Xhaka was solid yesterday, but would love another DMF to come in before transfer window shuts. Yeah, I mean, Xhaka and Partey have been such a solid partnership, haven't they, this season, and getting better and better every game. But we can't rely on him to play every single match for the rest of the season. And you're right, we do need somebody else because the backups that we've got currently, the drop-off, as we mentioned this before, the drop-off is too great, isn't it? Lokonga, bless his heart, just isn't quite at that level yet. El Neni's injured at the moment anyway, but is he at that level either? He can do a steady job, but no, not for what we need. So, yeah, I agree. Another player to, you know, just to be, again, someone like Trossard who can come in, and so we've got rotation and we're not going to, the level doesn't drop too much, and that's what we need. Someone else like that in that position would be great. Whether or not that's going to happen or not, I'm not sure, but there's still a week left of the window or so. It's a week, isn't there? Still of the window, so who knows? Let's see what happens over the next week if we can. But we're just going to have to. If not, we're going to have to do with what we've got, and it's not bad, is it? What we've got in a minute, let's be honest. So that's not too bad, is it? Of course, you know we've beaten one of the Manchester teams this week, and very exciting style. And we're going to end the week playing the other Manchester side in a little competition called the FA Cup that we may have won a few times. Now, I know Haaland's in that picture there. I'm not sure whether he'll play particularly. He might do. But I'm assuming that both teams will make changes for this game. You know, you mentioned before, Neil, Man City's probably priority is the Champions League this season. I tend to agree because that is the one thing Pep hasn't won with them. And our priority now, you imagine, is the Premier League. It's got to be in the position that we're in. So is the FA Cup a little bit of a distraction for both clubs, maybe, and maybe the losing team in this tie, will they be that disappointed and upset to have gone out of the FA Cup? Obviously, time will tell. If you don't win anything else, you'd be gutted that you went out. But at this moment in time, it feels like an extra distraction maybe that both teams could do without. Do you think that's probably fair?
I think more for Man City, actually, because obviously they're still in a good shout at the Prem, of course. And they've also got the Champions League. I guess we've got the Europa. I would really find it hard to say the FA Cup's a distraction. Like you, Rich, I adore that competition. It's the oldest club competition in the world. I mean, in any sport, I think, not just football.
And who's won it the most times, Neil? Who's won it the most times out of anyone?
I don't know. I forget. Can you remind me? I just can't remember. The only consolation would be for me, and look, I don't want to go out. I want to win every football match, including the League Cup, by the way. So just take this with a pinch of salt. But if at the worst case scenario we did, as long as Man United don't win it, I'll be kind of happy. Then that's fine, because I want to get that two win buffer against them, because if they win it, they're only going to be one behind again. And you're thinking, oh no, it's our cup. I love the competition, and for me, it's not just about the competition; it's about momentum. If we do ourselves a disservice and we go out with a good performance, I won't mind that, because it is Man City. It's a very, very, you can't get harder than that, can you? They're one of the best teams in Europe, if not the best team in Europe. And to go out against Man City, no matter what side they put, because they can effectively play probably two sides in the Prem, and both would end up in the top four. That's how good their squad is. So, there's no shame in losing to them. But what I worry about with that is I wouldn't want that to affect our attitude and our mentality, because I wouldn't want the loss to feel like it's a kind of, how can you say, a stumbling block in what we're trying to achieve at the moment. I'd like to say it wouldn't affect us too much, because you got to remember when we lost to Man United earlier this season, it didn't really affect the lads. They came back strong from it. And that's why we've only lost one game this season, only drawn two. God, who would imagine that? Even I wouldn't predicted 50 points at the halfway stage. So it didn't affect us too much. But I as long as we put in a great performance, Rich, if we then lose, fair play. But I wouldn't want to go there and get destroyed because we've made wholesome changes. Because if you look back at the previous tie, Oxford, on paper, even the team that we put out initially should have really done the job against them, and we couldn't. So he had to then rely on the seniors to come off the bench. So how I see it happening, I think he's going to make some changes. We alluded to a few a little bit earlier, but I still feel that some of those seniors are going to be benched just in case. And I will probably see the same with Man City. We'll do the same thing. Haaland might necessarily not start, but he's definitely might be on the bench. But they've got so many to pick and choose from. It's stupid. I don't know how Pep manages it, to be fair, and keeps them all happy, but he's doing it. And I think that's what Arteta's trying to get to. He's trying to get to that stage where he's got probably a squad big enough to almost run two competitions concurrently, together at the same time. And I think that's his goal. I think he's very kind of emulating what Pep is doing with respect to the strength of the squad and having literally two good, same, literally on a par, two players in every position, and then managing it somehow to keep everyone happy. But I think there'll be some changes, but I think we'll still see the seniors on the bench. That's how I think it's going to go, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, we have to have a backup plan if things don't go well. And I agree that the last thing that we need at this point in the season is to go to City and get hammered for two reasons. One, because of the momentum thing that you mentioned. I remember Loki mentions it in the chat there as well. He said we need to be careful. Remember taking Man U lightly. It was 07-08 actually, not 08-09. We lost 4-0, yeah, and it derailed our season. It did, yeah. And there's always a danger of doing that again. So I think that's one thing. And two, the other thing as well is we have to play City twice still in the league. And what we don't want to do is give them another mental advantage over us, because we've got a poor record against them anyway in recent years. So the last thing we need is to go there on Friday, get hammered, and then when it comes to the two league games against them, which are going to be really crucial, looking at the points gap between us with 6 points on offer there, I don't want to see us do that, and I don't think we will, even if we play a changed team, as I think Man City will. I still don't think we'll get hammered there, but there's always that in the back of your mind, because it's happened so many times. We've gone there and lost heavily. Mark C says there, Friday night, here we come. Indeed. Terry says, isn't it nice that City will turn up against us this time, worried about us rather than expecting an easy win? Yeah, it is nice. And let's hope that we give them a lot to worry about, and we play a competitive team that can go there and get a result. Because imagine knocking them out away from home. I mean, after the two results we've just had, to go to City and win. I mean, regardless of what team City put out, as you rightly say, Neil, they could put out two different 11s and still finish twice in the top four. So, going to City and winning would be an amazing achievement. And I remember, was it 2015 when we went to Man United and won in the FA Cup, didn't we? That was a Monday night game.
Did well, Ben.
And this is
Was that
with the
Welbeck?
Welbeck winner, yeah, it was, yeah. So maybe Zinchenko will get the winner this time, a
his
former
first goal
player.
for Arsenal. It's
It's
written,
set up.
Rich.
It
It's in
is.
the
It's
script.
written in the stars. It is written in the stars. But yeah, so I remember that game. So I wasn't expecting us to win that on that night because we hadn't won at Old Trafford for years, and we went there and won. And there's no reason to think we can't do it again on Friday, but we know it's going to be tough. We know it's going to be tough, but and the good thing is, Terry says we have nothing to fear anymore. The pressure is all on them. I mean, it is, and in a way, I suppose there's no pressure on us at all on Friday. I don't think. If we win, it will be an amazing lift for everybody and give us real good momentum going into the league games against City. But also, if we did lose, as you say, Neil, if it's a close game and we lose 2-1 or 1-0, whatever it might be, it's not going to. There's nothing bad about that really, other than the fact you're out of the FA Cup and it's losing away at City. It's like, well, we competed with them, we gave them a game, we're out. We can now focus on the more important things later on. But yeah, so it's almost like a win-win situation for us in many ways. But I agree with you. I love the FA Cup. It's our competition. We've won it so many times. We love a nice day out of Wembley and all that kind of stuff. So I would like to beat them because if we can beat them away from home, as it proved when we beat Man United that year, go on and win the cup. We got a great chance to do that. And there's no reason why. Yes, the Europa League is going to be more and more pressure on the squad, obviously. But I think if we were to win the Premier League and the FA Cup, I wouldn't really care too much about the Europa League.
No, me neither. Me neither.
And,
honestly.
if we knock Man City out of the way, who knows? It's the door's going to open.
Just a quick one, because I'm not sure. So is there a chance that if there's a draw, does that go to a replay on this round? Or does it go to extra time and pens? Does anyone know?
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure because I know that I think this one might be replay, and I think it's maybe the next round.
Then it's
the replay stop. I think so. Actually, I'm not 100% sure. So, I didn't really think about that as an option.
I know we don't want the extra match, but who knows? That could be an outcome possibility. Don't know. Could do, and then we can smash them at our place.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice. I mean, just to beat them over any time would be fine. I mean, we've had a lot of over the years. We've had a lot of fourth round replays. Against Leeds. I remember. We've had a couple of times against Leeds. I remember Leicester. We had a replay away. And
those days was it Lee Chapman?
Oh, the Lee Chapman. Yeah, I think he scored every single game against us for Leeds.
He did. Pain in the
He was. Yeah, I think he had a point to prove against us, didn't he? Because it never worked out when he played for us. So
that's
I think he was more up for them games, wasn't he? He always seemed to score. But we've had a few epic fourth round replays in the past, so maybe it is. Yeah, I've got a feeling the replay stop in the later rounds as opposed to the earlier rounds because of the smaller clubs still being in it, give them more money for replays.
Of course.
I think that's why. So I've got a feeling there would be a replay if it was a draw. But I don't know. If anyone knows in the chat, let us know for certain. Because you cleared up the Trossard cup tie business. I'm sure you can clear up whether or not there's replays. I've got a feeling there will be in this round. But let's go there and win. Don't worry about it.
No, exactly.
Let's just go there and win. I mean, what we'll have to, I suppose, as normal, we'll have to give a score prediction, Neil. What are you thinking then for Friday?
Well,
let's assume it's a replay if it's a draw, but let's what do you think of Friday?
Oh my goodness. You know me, I'm normally so positive and Terry's gonna hate me, but no, I'm going to go for a win. Why not? Because, everyone's saying we've got City. Even yesterday, can I just quickly say one thing, Rich? Even yesterday, of course, I think, was it Neville, Gary Neville? Yeah, I think he said, but they still got to play City twice. Everyone keeps going, you have to play. No, they have to play us twice. They should be more worried that we're the ones with. No,
we have to play each other once each. That's how it is.
Yes,
we play them once they play us.
Yeah, exactly. And end of the day, we're the ones with the advantage. We're the ones with a 5-point lead and a game in hand. Let's not forget. We've actually got that game in hand. So, first and foremost, as I said earlier, I just want to see a good performance. I really just want to see, because that will be another marker in. It doesn't matter if it's the FA Cup. It doesn't matter if it's a different competition. It just will show a marker in how far we've matured and grown up. It's the first time we're playing them this season in any competition because of obviously the postponement. And I just feel that I just want to go there and show them what we're made of. That we're not the pushovers that we've been in the last few years. We're a very different kettle of fish now. There's going to be changes. Dare I say it? Why not? Let's say we win 2-1 and Zinchenko gets the winner.
Wow,
you
that
go.
would be like party like it's 2015. Loki says he's gone 2-1 as well on Friday. There you go. Loki says, I think I'm going to go Friday. Only a 4-hour drive, easy tickets. Yeah, I think we've got 9,000
Oh,
tickets,
nice.
haven't we? I think for something like that, isn't it? Because the cup games, you have to give a percentage of the attendance, don't you? So, I must admit, if it wasn't on a Friday, I'd have gone as well. I can't go on Friday night, unfortunately, due to work. I won't get off work in time. And if it had been on a weekend, I would almost certainly have gone because it's going to be a brilliant atmosphere, I'm sure.
Oh,
And it's the FA Cup. What's there not to love about the FA Cup, as we
brilliant.
said? So, I mean, I think we can go there and win. I've got to be honest. At this moment in time, the way we're playing, I think we can go there and win because they don't look as though they're quite in their groove at the moment. You know, they seem to have a few issues going on behind the scenes and stuff. Pep's not very happy, clearly, with what's happening. I don't know, they won comfortably enough yesterday, and they did come back from 2-0 down to beat Spurs. But I don't know. I think they're beatable, this Man City team. And it's not often I've felt like that in recent years against them. And this time I do feel they are beatable. Whether we can go there and win or not, I'm not sure. But there's certainly that opportunity there. And I say, I would be tempted to obviously make some changes, of course. We don't want to put too much strain on the players. But obviously Trossard can play, so I'll definitely start him in the game. Absolutely no question about that. Terry says extra time and pens Friday, but we'll win it in 73 minutes, 3-1. Is it no replay then? Is it? Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, if there's no replay, then it could be quite a dramatic evening. But yeah, I think Trossard obviously will come in. You would imagine there's no reason not to play him, is there really now? To give maybe Martinelli a rest. And then yeah, I mean the midfield will worry me without Partey and Xhaka. Maybe one of them has to play, perhaps in this game. Maybe Xhaka because he tends to get injured less. Maybe rest Partey, perhaps have Xhaka in there. Ødegaard, would we want to play Ødegaard? Maybe leave him out of this one. Vieira maybe come in. Or maybe Trossard could play that role. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I think we need to have one or two. I mean, I'd maybe be tempted to play Saka. He plays every game. He's fine. If he gets injured, he's fit again, so he's not a problem. Saka. So
I don't know what he's made of, Rich. I just don't know what he's made of.
Well, he's got
made a kicked around as well, and he still just gets up and shrugs it off.
Oh yeah, Loki's made a point there. Smith Rowe, yeah, if he's fit, he's not played, has he? He's come on for 5 minutes against Oxford. That was it, or was it Oxford or somebody? Tottenham, was it? He came on, I can't remember.
Yeah, Tottenham, I think.
Tottenham, yeah, it was, yeah, about 5 minutes. All he's played. Is he ready to start a game against Man City away? I don't know. He's an option, I suppose. Yeah, if he's fit, stick him in as well. He could play in Ødegaard's position, couldn't he? I suppose give Ødegaard a rest, and then Saka. I suppose Eddie'll have to play. Trossard. It's still not a bad team, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No.
I mean, defensively, if we make too many changes at the back, I'll be worried if Holding played, especially if Haaland was playing.
I think one of Gabriel or Saliba will play for sure. I think
he said Holding out and out of fight. Yeah, I mean Holding probably will play because I agree. I think one of them will probably. Gabriel may play because he's the left-footed one. So we've got this new dude in. Whether he can play, I don't know how fit he is. He might come straight in and play.
Wow, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Imagine him, this new dude and Holding playing a centre back against Man City away.
Well, do you know what? We've got to give Holding credit because he's done well against the big games. In the big games, he was amazing. Wasn't he? With Mertesacker, who hadn't played all season, and he played the game of his life. So
yeah, he did. Well, they both did, didn't they? That cup final.
Did. Oh, that was such a good one, wasn't it? So, I think you're right. Do you think he'll play Tierney? I think he might.
Yeah, I think he'll almost. Yeah, you see, maybe Zinchenko will be on the bench and he'll come off the bench and score the winner because I think Tierney will start. Yeah. Tierney needs to start, doesn't he? Because he's not playing enough minutes. And yeah, I think he'll probably will play Tierney. Yeah, and maybe obviously Ben White came off yesterday. Maybe Tommy Asu will start as well. Still won't be a bad defense.
Do you know what that was about? Because I don't know why he came off.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, there was talk that it was a tactical decision because of the Rashford problem on that side of the pitch, which, it was a problem, there's no doubt. I mean, Rashford was having a great game. And whether it was that or whether he had a slight injury, I'm not really sure. But it proved to be a good decision because Tommy Asu came on, did well. And Rashford's influence was a lot less in the second half, wasn't it, than it had been in the first half. So maybe it was a tactical move. So, but yeah, I got a feeling Tommy Asu might play it anyway against Man City. And Tierney the other side, and the two centre-backs, we're not sure. Maybe Holding and Gabriel perhaps. But
this new boy might be on the bench, Rich. This new boy might be on the bench.
He might be on the bench, yeah. He might be on the bench. I mean, he signed in time, so there's no reason why. But we'll see. Yeah, he could be on the bench. We'll see. But I think that might well be the team. A little sprinkling of the normal first team with, 2 or 3 of the kind of squad players, if you like, and obviously Trossard making his first start. We would assume.
Really looking forward to that. I think I'm really looking forward to Trossard.
Loki says, "You've talked me into a 3-1." Okay, well, yeah, Terry's good at doing that. He convinces us all we're going to win 5-0 every week. But no, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to it as well because I say there's not the pressure on us really. It would be great to win, and what a statement it would be. But if we don't win and we did get knocked out, as long as we don't lose 5-0 or something stupid, then I think we can be reasonably okay about it and move on to the other challenges that lie ahead. But yeah, let's go and beat them. Let's knock them out. That's what
Come on, you're right, Rich. I love it. That's the attitude.
Yeah, let's knock them out. This is the time. To be honest with you, if we'd been playing Man City earlier in the season, they looked in better form. They seem to be struggling at the minute to find their rhythm.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good time to play him because he's going to make changes. There's no way he's playing the full first 11. Absolutely no chance. He'll be making changes for this game. And, it's our chance to go there. And wouldn't that be brilliant? 9,000 Arsenal fans there shutting up them Man City Nuggets who always next to the away fans, giving it large because they've got a few quid and got a decent team for the first time in their history. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be nice to go there and beat them, wouldn't it? It'd be nice.
Do you
remember that the last time?
That's when you get when you buy success, Rich. Like Chelsea.
Do you remember the last time that we won there at Man City?
Was it when? God, you know what? I can't remember. I remember when Santi and Coquelin were our midfield, and Coquelin was playing really well, and we won 2-1.
2-0. 2-0. Yeah. So I always call that the Santi Cazorla game because he was absolutely brilliant that day. He actually ran that game, didn't he, from start to finish?
Do you remember the little dance he did as well?
Yeah. Was it 20? I think that was 2015. That's how long ago it was. Yeah, a long time ago. So we're due one, aren't we? Let's be honest. We are due a win there, and it would be nice to finally get one. That was a good day that we beat them that day. But yeah, it'd be nice to go there and beat them again. But we'll see. It is going to be tough. But yeah, why not? Let's go there. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. I'm going to go 2-1. Fish wash. We're through to the 5th round, and here we go. Lovely, happy days. And Pep will be screaming again like he was the other night, won't he? When that press conference he wasn't happy about, was he? So I mean, I wonder if them two will speak with in the next few days about likely lineups or anything like that.
That's interesting.
They're best mates, aren't they?
They could.
I wonder if they will. Well, who are you going to play, Pep? Who are you going to play? Who are you going to pick in your team? We'll decide now. Who are we going to rest and stuff like that?
Oh my God.
It'd be funny, wouldn't it? If they did. But it would, yeah. Terry says rhythm is a dancer. Indeed, it is. Terry says all our yellow cards are gone now. But yeah, they've been reset now. Yeah, we're past that suspension thing. Loki says empty blue seats, but chips with gravy. It sums up Man City quite well, actually, doesn't it? Empty blue seats. But you see, that's the problem, isn't it? When a small club that's never had any history really gets a lot of money, the fans are only going to get excited for a very short period of time, and I think they've just got sick of it now. Winning 5-0 every game at home for the last 4 years is probably it's boring now. I can't be bothered. But yeah, so let's finish them off now. Get rid of them in the FA Cup, then that'll be it. Then we can beat them twice in the league, and then that's it, all done. And then the doubles out.
How wonderful that'd be. Oh,
it would, wouldn't it? It would be great, wouldn't it? But let's dream about it while we can, because no doubt Friday will come around and it may not quite go as we hope, but
as I said, anyway, as long as we perform well, I'll be happy.
Yeah, and I say we've got an opportunity to really put down a statement, haven't we, and say, to Man City, and so to everybody, that we can go away to Man City and get a result, beat them even, and it's a great opportunity for us. And I say I don't think there's any pressure really, so it's good. And let's go and do it on Friday, and let's keep this momentum going that we're in, because since the World Cup. I think, we were all a little bit worried how the momentum shift might happen because that big break, some players had good World Cup, some not quite so good, and you're maybe worried how it would all gel together again. Yeah. But we've hit the ground running, haven't we? We've played better, actually. We've probably played better since the World Cup than we did before. Because I felt maybe the last 4, 5, 6 games before the World Cup, we were looking a little bit tired. We were looking leggy. We were struggling a little bit. So we were still winning games, but it was maybe 1-0s, and we were kind of hanging on at times. Whereas since the World Cup, we've just been flying. We've been absolutely flying. So all our worries there have been dismissed as well, which is pretty good. Terry says they're looking forward to actually playing someone at last. Yeah, I mean, it's about time. We've reached the middle of January and we haven't played anyone yet, so it'd be nice to play Man City finally, won't it? Play a decent team rather than all the rubbish.
Yeah, we haven't
all
been
the
tested
19
yet.
teams that we've played in the Premier League that are obviously not very good.
No.
You know, apart from them, we haven't played anyone, have we? So it'd be nice to. You're right. It'd be nice to be tested for once, and let's see what test they can bring us, because we'll see. But no, I would like to win because it's the FA Cup, as we said.
Of course, Rich. I'm like you. I love it so much. The competition it means so much. It means so. It's my first fond memory of Arsenal. It's always going to be with me. Always.
FA Cup final, yeah. That's how I started supporting Arsenal from 78 FA Cup final. So
78, same as me, exactly the same.
Yeah. So that's probably why the FA Cup's so important, because we grew up with it, didn't we? Watching it every year, and we were in it a lot at that time as well, which was nice. So absolutely. I think it's such an important competition, and it is ours because we won it the most, and we want to win it again. But if we lose, I'm not going to be too upset if I'm on it. I think I'll get over that one quite quickly. I think by Saturday morning I'll be fine, and we'll move on and look at the bigger challenges to come, of which there are. But yeah, it's been another good week, hasn't it? Let's be honest. It's been another good week to be an Arsenal fan, and just seems to be every time a game's coming around, I keep thinking, is this going to be the collapse is going to start this week? Is it going to be this week it's going to start, or will it be next week? And so far, every week, it's still not coming. And the longer it's not coming, the longer I'm starting to believe it won't. You know, a bit like the Invincibles season. You mentioned the Invincibles before, and that's almost in that season. I know we were in a different place then, but it's like then it was about we're going to lose a game sooner or later. We must lose a game because everybody loses a game. We will lose a game. So every week you think, is this going to be the game we'll lose? Is this going to be the game we'll lose? And then we played Man United at home and we drew, and you think, oh, that's another big one out of the way. And all these games, and finally, you know, we started to think actually we might do it. We might actually do it. But that was with about like 6 games to go when it was like, oh, we're getting quite close now. Maybe that's what it'll be this season. Maybe we'll get to like April, we're still top, and then we might start thinking, actually, we might actually do this. And we might not collapse now. And if we did, it'd be too late because we'll be so far clear. Russ says, evening, lads. You're a bit late, Russ. We're nearly finished. I mean, what have you been doing? Watching a Tottenham game or something stupid? Why would you want to do that? I mean, someone said to me earlier, right? Why are you doing a show at 8 o'clock when Tottenham are playing? I'm like, seriously, if you'd rather watch Tottenham than listen to talking to us about Arsenal beating Man United and stuff like that, then there's something wrong with you, quite honestly. But anyway,
didn't even know Tottenham were playing. What's the score? If we get,
they're winning 1-0. They've just scored actually at half time. They're winning 1-0 against Fulham. Who really cares anyway? Because it doesn't make any difference. They're just going to finish 5th or 6th, aren't they? So it makes no difference really. So we'll let them have their moment. Although Fulham are a good side, they'll probably come back and beat them. Terry says FA Cup was always massive when I was growing up. Everyone was watching it. No one missed it. Exactly. Yeah, the FA Cup final was the highlight of the season, wasn't it? Every year it was a highlight. Everybody remember. I mean, I can remember all the cup finals going back probably. I think 76 might be the first one I actually remember. And I can remember pretty much every single one since then who played the game. I remember so much about them just because it was the highlight of the year, wasn't it?
It's funny. The FA Cup reminds. It's like a lot of people that aren't football supporters per se, but they tend to watch the World Cup. You always say, I'm not really a football fan, but I love watching the World Cup. But they also say that about the FA Cup final. Always. They did. Also, the FA Cup final, it's like almost like that. You know, it's an occasion because it's such an old competition. And then for me, there's so much prestige. And I hated the time where, a few years ago, it was almost like being put down. It's like and become a nothing competition because of the money now and the Champions League and the eliteness of the Premiership. I never, ever thought that. I thought, no, you cannot. That's one competition that will always be here, no matter what. Will always be around. Yeah. And it's so special because it gives so many smaller clubs the opportunity to have a good run. And it's happened. We've seen some crazy years where the most unexpected teams have got, as far as the semi-finals even. And you were like, whoa, how's that? Where's that? And it's nice for those little tiny clubs just to have their moment in their history.
One day, a little tiny club like Tottenham might have their moment in it as well,
No, that will never happen.
Well, it might do one day. Who knows? If they keep, they have to keep trying, don't they? If they keep trying, eventually they might win it. But
if it happens after my lifetime, I don't care. But not before. I don't want to see them win anything.
I mean, but you might know about that because I mean, my dad was never a big football fan, but he always watched the FA Cup final. We always watched it as a family, and it was one of them things that everybody did. Everybody did, didn't they? You know, and now they probably don't because, like you said, people are more because there's football on every night of the week now, pretty much.
Yeah.
It takes away that our special occasion the FA Cup final was
Very
because it was
true.
so rare to see a live game, and it was at
Mm.
Wembley, and it was the teams got come out with the managers, and it was just a big special occasion, and it was I don't know, it was just such a massive thing, and
That is so
everybody watched
true.
it.
Because there was so very little exposure for live games. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Even when it was on Arsenal, I would watch. You know,
Yeah,
because I
I
think
would.
match of the was it Grandstand? Who was it? Used to be.
Yeah.
It start at 12:30. The whole
Yeah.
everything about it.
Yeah.
You'd see the players in their suits initially, and then all the build up. Then they'll show the route to Wembley. I know they still kind of do that, but there was something a little bit more special when you just had 3 channels to choose from in the good old days.
Yeah.
And you know, I would actually sit there, even if it wasn't Arsenal, and just watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I would.
So
it didn't matter who was in it for me. I mean, yeah, obviously if Arsenal was in it, it was better, but I didn't really care who was in it. It was the FA Cup final, and it was just a fantastic thing. Terry says it was on from 10:30 till about 7. Yeah, it was early. I remember it was early. And then it used to go on, didn't it? Afterwards, they had loads of stuff. You'd see them on the coach, wouldn't you, driving up Wembley Way to get to the stadium, the players and that. Oh, it was just brilliant.
Magical, right?
Yeah, it was, and I wouldn't change the era that we grew up in for anything, really. Certainly not for what we've got now. I wouldn't change it at all. Because
I think, Rich, we've been spoiled. We've grown up, I think, in a really good era of everything. Really, we've seen so many changes, but we also remember how it used to be, and I think that's quite important because the youngsters of these days. I don't know. We probably hear every generation hears that you don't know what it's really like, but there is something quite true about that. That it was so different. But there was that charm about it all. There was such a charm about it. And I think we're spoilt now. We can just pick up our phone and watch a football game, for goodness sake. Before, you'd have to go and sit in a place. I remember sometimes there were some pubs that were doing a naughty one and they'd be showing a game which they shouldn't have been. And I remember I had to go with my mates to find a pub that was showing a 3 o'clock game, on a pirate stream. Because we didn't have technology to look at it on our phones,
No.
So, and there was something quite special about that, having to work to see something that you enjoy and to go that extra mile. Now you can just literally be sitting without being crude. You can literally be sitting on the toilet. Oh yeah, I'll just stream out Arsenal now playing at 3 o'clock. It's easy. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And in a way that's taken the magic away from it.
Yes.
It used to be football on telly, and I know it's probably seems strange saying it now, and for like you said, the younger generation, but football on telly used to be really special because it was so rare. A live game, it was like, what's this all about? A live game on telly. It was incredible. So it was such a big deal, and everybody would watch it because it was such a unique occasion. Whereas now there's games on every night, and I mean, I know there's some people probably sit every night and watch them all. I don't. I watch it if obviously I watch the Arsenal games. I might watch one other game if it takes my interest, but I'm not that fussed about the other games. There's too many of them. It's just boring now. Just, go back to what it used to be, 1 or 2 live games a week. I mean, I can remember it used to be maybe when they first started doing them in the sort of late 80s, the live games on a Sunday. Do you remember on ITV used to do them, didn't they? And they used to have like 1 on a month, didn't they? That was it. It wasn't even every week. It was like 1 a month. Yeah. It was great. I used to love it. You'd watch Nottingham Forest play against Coventry or somebody, and it'd be brilliant.
Well, we'd watch it, wouldn't you? You'd watch it.
Yeah, of course you would. Yeah, because it was like 1 a month. It was on. It was brilliant. Do you know what our very first ever league game that was live on telly? Do you know when it was?
No, go on.
It was 1987. Arsenal against Coventry, and it was 0-0.
Oh,
and that was our first ever live.
The FA Cup, right? Yes.
It was our first ever live league game that was on telly when they started doing them in the 1980s. Yeah.
Okay.
Loki says Coventry 3 Spurs 2. Yeah, we remember that one. That was a great FA Cup final, wasn't it? Yeah, I love that one as well. I love them all actually, but that was a special one, wasn't it? Terry says, watch TV, listen to radio coverage in our house every year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the radio coverage actually was a lot better then, wasn't it? I mean, now we've got Talk Sport and you've got 5 Live, just absolute dross. Back then the radio coverage was that was the best coverage there was. It was incredible. And even on the BBC, I mean, I think it used to be Radio 2. It used to be on, didn't it? I think of an evening. That used to be brilliant, you know. So many night games. I can remember when I was a kid with a little radio by me bed, listening to the commentary from like Liverpool away or something on a Tuesday night, and it was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what? I only mentioned the other day, Jonathan Pierce. I used to love listening to him before the
He
day.
used to do radio. He used to do radio.
He was so excitable. It was hilarious. He would do my heart in because I remember I obviously particularly I'd listen to him for the Arsenal games, and he'd be like, you know, and he used to get so excitable. I don't know. He seemed to have some affinity with Arsenal, even though he wasn't an Arsenal supporter. And he would like go absolutely mental. And I remember it was a crucial game, and I think it was the run up to '89. It was that year, and all of a sudden he went mad. And I thought, oh God, the opposition have scored. And he started going on about a different game altogether that he was keeping an eye on. And that's because that was
he used to be on Capital, didn't he? He used to be on Capital, didn't he?
That's
right. He used to
do the
commentary on Capital Radio.
Capital Gold, wasn't it?
Capital Gold, that's it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that used to be brilliant.
It was hilarious, Rich. Listening to him when he moved to the TV, I think he lost something. He just wasn't the same. But
he was
on
not
the
as
radio,
good, no.
he made it his own. It's almost like what's his name? The jury. Oh, what's his name?
Peter Drury.
The guy who's doing the football who's you know, when you hear him, especially on when the Arsenal games when we're scoring goals, and we don't get him here, do we? I think he's in America.
Yeah, he's in. I think he's in. Is it South Africa or somewhere he's doing?
Oh, is it South Africa?
Something like that. Yeah, he's not doing European TV, which is a shame because he's a great commentator.
So good, isn't he? So good.
Yeah.
If we had someone like now, you get Dross. Absolutely,
it is. Terrible. I mean, radio now, coverage of sport on the radio is, I don't know, maybe they probably haven't invested in it any much because it's so much on TV now. Whereas back then, it wasn't on TV. So the radio was so much more important and they put a lot more time and effort into it. And it was fantastic. Now, I don't think they're bothered. They'll have Jason Cundy on. They'll have anyone on. Do you know what I mean? This doesn't matter anymore. It's not important. But it used to be so vital because of the lack of any other coverage. So we lived by that, didn't we? The radio and stuff like that. And Loki says there, Peter Jones on Radio 2. Yeah, Peter Jones, he was good. Yeah, there was someone else as well I used to really like. Another commentator on Radio 2. I can't remember his name now. He was really good as well. But yeah, Peter Jones used to do, was it Sports Report, wasn't it? On a Saturday evening as well. I used to listen to Sports Report coming home from the Arsenal games in the car and that with my dad.
Wow.
So he says, only downside, watch FA Cup final, but had to wait 3 hours to watch it again on Match of the Day. Yeah. I remember one year, I think it might have been 1976 when Southampton beat Man United. And the goal was scored by, I think, someone called Bobby Stokes, I think his name was. And it was a great goal from the edge of the penalty area, a left-footed shot, went in the far corner. And that was the first cup final I can really remember. I was about, 7 maybe, something like that, 7 or 8, something like that. And I just spent the 3 hours between the end of the cup final and it coming back on again, just in the garden, repeating that goal, just kicking the ball against the wall, pretending to be the goal scorer in the cup final. I remember doing that for 3 hours.
It's not even your team when you do it. You just do it.
No, you do, yeah. Just running around the garden doing it. I remember doing it and it was brilliant. And the weather was always nice as well. It was always sunny on cup final day. It just always the way it was, wasn't it? Loki says, remember semi-final replays v Liverpool on the radio? Yeah, in 98. That's right. Yeah, I remember them. All them semi-final replays. I remember listening to them on the radio. Yeah, the one at Hillsborough when it was that was the first one, wasn't it? I think it was Hillsborough. And then we played them Villa Park a couple of times. And yeah, I remember the radio, listening to that in bed at night with the radio next to me. Yeah, them games on Radio 2. That was brilliant. They were brilliant days, them, you know. Brilliant days.
That's what they used to play the semi-finals, wasn't it? It was Villa Park, Hillsborough. Was there any others that played the semi-finals at?
Well, Highbury. They used to play about Highbury. Obviously, not our ones, but other teams played at Highbury in the semi-final. I remember Tottenham played there 1 year. Ipswich played West Brom at Highbury. There was a few at Highbury, but yeah, they used to play at Villa Park. Can't remember who else they played. They played them at lots of different places.
Crazy, isn't it? So different to play at a neutral venue, but not Wembley, because that for me made the final at Wembley even more special.
Of course,
by playing the semi-finals at Wembley, just kind of took the edge off the final a little bit because, well, you've already played at Wembley before, and now you're doing it again for the final. It didn't.
See, unfortunately, as much as I hate the fact they do that, we're to blame. From 91 when we played Tottenham in the semi-final. That was the first one at Wembley, and they put it at Wembley because there was no other ground in London that was big enough to host Arsenal against Tottenham. So that was the first one in 91. And I think what they saw was the crowd that came that day, obviously a sellout at Wembley, and they
Money.
realised that they can make money out of this, so we're going to do it every year. And they started doing it after that. From that point, so it was our fault, really. It was our fault. We started it all off, unfortunately.
Oh,
but
well.
anyway, and we lost that game as well, so it was a complete waste of time.
God, don't.
So I was in the Tottenham end that day. I'll never forget that, because we couldn't get tickets through the normal sources at Arsenal for whatever reason. Even though it was at Wembley, there was loads of tickets. It's impossible to get tickets. And I remember, I think the game was on the Saturday, wasn't it? Or was it a Sunday? I can't remember now. But I know the day before, my mate rang me up and said, I've got us some tickets. And I'm like, you're kidding? I was so excited. Okay, brilliant. And we had to go and meet this guy at Baker Street, right, to get the tickets.
I think you told me the story.
Yeah. So we went to meet him. We got off the train. We met him in some pub at Baker Street. We were so excited. So we got the tickets. He was there. We paid the money, over the top, a little bit over the top of the price, but who cared? And we were sitting on that train that goes up to Wembley Park. And I was looking at tickets, and I said to him, mate, I said, you do know these are in the Tottenham end? He said, no, they won't be. I said, they fucking are. They're in the Tottenham end, I'm telling you. And we got there, and obviously it was in the Tottenham end.
No.
We were right beyond, we was opposite. Obviously, the Gascoigne free kick was in front of the Arsenal fans, so we was like in line with it at the other end with all the Tottenham fans. And oh my god, it was horrible. I can't even watch that free kick again without thinking of being sat there, being on the back row with all the Tottenham fans going mental, and we're sitting there thinking, "Oh my god, that was that was horrible." And that was the thing. That's what started semi-finals at Wembley, so it was our fault. That was it. Okay. We're to blame. Terry says, "Does anyone watch ITV for the big match replay?" Yes, I've got them on record. I would just record them every week because I'm normally playing football on a Saturday morning, so I can't see them live. I record them and watch them usually on a Sunday. Brilliant, love them. The old match of the day is brilliant stuff. Well, big match, whatever it was called. Don't you watch them?
Big match.
Yeah, the replays I think they're on a Saturday morning. They're live, but I just record them all. Brilliant they are. Loki says, a game I remember, Spurs 1, Burnley 4, commentator, and Burnley score again, 82-83. Did Tottenham play Burnley in 82? That must have been in the cup, was it? Because Burnley wouldn't have been in Division 1 in 82-83. That must have been in a cup then. I don't remember that, but anyway, I'm sure they did beat them 4-1, and it would have been hilarious. I don't remember that one, though. But yeah, that's a good memory for you. I'm sure
every Spurs defeat is hilarious. Every Spurs defeat.
Well, yeah, especially when it's obviously they would have been a lower league team then as well, Burnley.
Even more so, yeah.
And they would have been, if it was 83, they'd have been the holders because they won it in 81 and 82, didn't they? So they would have actually been the holders, losing at home to Burnley. Brilliant. What a great game that would have been. But I'll have to find out more about that now because that's piqued my interest. But yeah, it would have been. I don't remember that, unfortunately, Loki, but I'm sure it was a good game. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about those
all day
forever, couldn't we? Because it's. I don't think you can beat it. Really, I really don't.
That's why it's so important. It's so important. The FA Cup, especially.
It is so important because it's going to get to a point, unfortunately, where there's going to be no one left who remembers it. We're going to get to that point at some stage, hopefully for be a little while yet, but we're going to get there soon enough. And we need to try and preserve as much of this as we can. And, on that note, Melvin is here on Wednesday with his Hybrid Matter show. And if you guys have been watching that, you'll know what a great show that is with great memories. And this particular week, it's the period between 1986 and 1988. So the very, very early George Graham era, the 87 Littlewoods Cup final, and that transition from being pretty average to suddenly competing and winning league titles. Maybe something similar to what we're going through now, but back in the mid-1980s. And that is coming up on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So Melvin, he's got a special guest joining him, and that is going to be a great show from a great period of being an Arsenal fan. That was one of my favourite times. The George Graham, early George Graham era was just fantastic, wasn't it? What a great time to be alive. Music was great. Everything was great.
Everything was great.
He's even given us the date. It was the 19th of January 1983. Oh, the League Cup. Oh, it was the League Cup. Actually, now you mention it, I do think I can remember that, the League Cup. Yes, I think I've got a vague recollection of that now, but I'll look into that a bit more. But yeah, I think the League Cup makes more sense actually. Loki says my brain works better sober. Well, I'm sure it does. And your memory certainly does. Anyway, Terry says I used to go to Charlton quite a lot. When I was a kid, my uncle played in goal for Charlton. Nice. Did he really? Graham Tutt.
Wow.
Okay, well, it's something else to Google now tonight. Graham Tutt, who played in goal for Charlton, and he's Terry's uncle. Look at that, brilliant
nice
stuff.
one, Terry.
Excellent, yeah, great stuff. Terry says, this great guest at 8 News. It was, no, I've already been on, Terry. I was on the other week. I enjoyed that, actually. I was on a little bit earlier in the 80s. I don't know who the guest is, I can't remember, but he's coming on Wednesday. It's going to be great. I wouldn't mind doing that week.
Was it nice being on the other side, Richard, not being the host? Was that
no, it was good, yeah. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, I've seen the show, so I kind of knew the format of it, and it was great to be on it. And I mean, the 1980s are, for me, was a great time to watch Arsenal, even though we weren't very good for most of it. Didn't matter. It was all new. It was exciting. The whole going to football experience was different, shall we say, to what it is now. And the whole thing, I don't know. I just thought that was just brilliant. I loved it. I would relive the 80s again if I could.
I'll never forget, Rich, the first time I went to Highbury and just seeing the pitch, just like the film Fever Pitch, where you see the pitch just suddenly appear. It was exactly like that. And I was just like blown away. I thought, this is, it just felt so good. So good. That first time, never forget.
No, and that was when, I suppose that's when you sort of felt at home. That was home, wasn't it? Home. Just being there from the very first minute. First time I saw it, it's like, this is home. This is where I need to be. And for 25 years, or whatever it was home pretty much, second home. Yeah. This is brilliant. And it's not been the same. And, I know that now, obviously at the moment, the atmosphere in the Emirates is good and everything else and stuff like that, but it's not the same. It'll never be Highbury. And I don't, we could win the league the next 10 years in a row, and that would be great, obviously, but it still won't be Highbury.
I'm with you. That one I agree with 100%. Highbury is, for me, Arsenal.
I don't want to feel like that, but you can't help it because of, all those great, because Highbury, we won all those trophies there and all those great experiences. And even when we didn't win trophies, it didn't matter. It was Highbury and it was fine. It kind of compensated it, really. Loki says Charlton was a big ground. It used to be, didn't it? It used to be a big, massive bowl, didn't it? At Charlton, it's obviously not now because they're all seated and stuff, but it used to be a big bowl, didn't it? I think it used to hold about like 80,000 or something ridiculous at one time. Loki says 82 to 91, my 5 years. Yeah. I would say probably, maybe 81 to probably 99 will be my favourite years, I think. Maybe 2000s. Although, obviously, we had great teams in, Thierry and all that kind of stuff. You could, even though we were still at Highbury then, you could sense the change, couldn't you? Did you not feel that as well? I've kind of felt the change.
There was a transition, yeah.
When we got into the sort of 2000s, maybe, that was perhaps when it was, I felt that it started to change, that the atmosphere, the people going to Highbury, the whole thing, and obviously moving. We knew that the move was happening because it had already been decided by about 2001, hadn't it? That it had been agreed, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I felt that big change start to happen, and obviously the move to the Emirates, it kind of took it through completely, didn't it? Terry says Charlton had a massive concrete stand. Yeah, they did. I remember that. Yeah, back in the day. Oh, it looked like the ground was falling to bits, didn't it, at one time? And then they didn't play it. Well, they didn't play there for years, did they? It got rebuilt, and then they moved back in, and now it's quite a nice little ground, actually. I remember when I was in the Premier League, it was quite a decent ground to go to. Loki says standing on a clock end. Yeah, I used to stand on a clock end. I had a season ticket on a clock end for years. I started off on the North Bank, and then I don't even know why, because the clock end didn't have a roof on it in them days, and it used to rain quite a lot, and you'd get soaking wet. And I used to stand on the North Bank under the roof, watching people on a clock end with umbrellas, right, when it was raining, and looking really miserable in the rain. We were losing to some crap team like Coventry or somebody, and I kept thinking to myself, I'd love to be on a clock end. And there was one game when the sun was out, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go on a clock end today. And I think it was 1983. So I decided to go. Went on a clock end. We played Luton. And we beat them 4-1. Tony Woodcock scored a hat-trick. And that was it then. I'm clocking now. I'm never going to leave the clock in. And rain was shining. Just loved it. The clock in was brilliant. And then when they put the seats in, I got a season ticket there and, sat in the clock in. Brilliant days. But, yeah, unfortunately, no longer. I did go there a little while ago. We sort of stood on where the old clock in used to be. It's just like a little walkway now where the flats are.
Oh, okay.
Sort of stood there, looked out on the pitch, roughly where my seat would have been, and it was nice to be there. But I don't know, it felt quite sad.
I still think they should never have done that.
No,
that should have become our training ground. Highbury should never have. Nah, I don't like it. But it's all about money. It's like, you know what? I'll just, before I go, I just want to say one quick thing. Do you remember we played the Champions League games at Wembley? Speaking of Wembley earlier.
Yeah,
I think that was a huge, and that was down for money. I think that was a massive mistake, because if we had continued to play our home games at Highbury, I think we could have had a bit more success in that competition potentially, or at least got a little further than we used to, because playing at Wembley, it was an advantage for the away team, because it's everyone's kind of dream. It's it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. I think if you're a knowledgeable football person and you're playing football at a professional level, I think it's everyone's dream to play at Wembley. So for that away team, it was almost like, we're going Wembley, and it probably gave them a lift. Whereas for us, we're actually not at home. It felt weird. And I remember it was weird. I think I actually managed to get to pretty much all those games that were played at Wembley. And I'll be honest, Rich, I didn't really enjoy it, because I wanted to be at Highbury. I wanted to be at Highbury.
We didn't win too many of them. I remember I remember Barcelona coming to Wembley, and I think they won 4-2 and absolutely ripped us to bits. It was a great game, actually, and they were a great team, that Barcelona team. But that was what it was like at Wembley. The other teams came there. They loved the extra space on the pitch. They loved the fact that the crowd were a bit further away. It wasn't the intimidating atmosphere at Highbury, and it didn't do us any favours playing there at all.
Big mistake.
But what it did do is it set a few, David Dean, as much as I love him, what he did for the club, him and a few others, it set their mind thinking, you know what, a bigger stadium, we can make more money here. Yeah, that's what it. We could fill 70,000. No problem, and I think that's what started the idea in process of moving away from Highbury to get the bigger crowds. And
correct.
But so we were part to blame, because we went to Wembley, we joined in, and we shouldn't have done. We should have said no. If no one turned up, we wouldn't have.
I know. I just wanted to go to games, though, Rich. I just wanted to go to the games.
I did as well. Yeah,
and in those days, it was a lot easier to get tickets. Nowadays, oh my God, what a nightmare it's become to get a ticket. Gosh, but it's. It's
at the minute it's terrible. As Loki says, semis at Villa Park and Hills were the best.
They
were. I used to love the Villa Park ones. I went there so many times for semi-finals. They used to be good. Terry says, I was a clock end, had plenty of nosebleeds and teeth knocked out standing there. Great memories. Used to love a tear up as a youngster. Probably
I can't imagine Terry being like that. Comes across so nice.
The clock end was the place to be. Like the clock end was the place to be. It was great days. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to experience that, actually, at that time. In the 80s, it was brilliant. And I say brilliant, it was different to what it is now, the atmosphere and what happened in the stadium. And although it wasn't always fun, it was something I'm glad I was able to experience.
But it's culture. It was part of the culture at the time. It was
part of the culture.
Whether you liked it or not, it was part of the culture.
It was. And it was great fun. As it happens. Melvin said, can you send me a link, please? We're just finishing, Melvin. We've been on for an hour and a half already.
Yeah, I've got to go, guys. It's been so wonderful talking about this. Enjoyed it, but I've got to get going.
It has. Actually, Melvin's just turned up now. Look, Melvin's actually here. Look. Melvin's here. Look.
God.
We've been on an hour and a half. What have you been doing
tonight? What am I doing, mate? Right, Neil.
Hello, mate. How are you doing? Can you hear us?
Absolutely. I said that I'm going to get on early. I think she forgot when one of the clocks in the hall was broken, and she thought that was the right time. I couldn't interrupt her. Joke. Anyway, I'm here now. I'm here for extra time.
Extra time with Melvin. That's what we were looking forward to.
Fergie time.
It's a new show, Richard.
A new show. It's a new show. We'll have to start. Should we start again? An hour and a half later.
Anyway, just very quickly, how good was that?
Oh, brilliant. It answered all our questions, Melvin, didn't it? All those questions over the last few weeks that we've maybe had about the mentality of the team and this, that, and the other. We've answered them. Them now. And that's all we wanted to see, and we've seen it, and it was brilliant. Yesterday was what a game! Just unbelievable, unbelievable game of football.
Some of that football was, my mouth was open. Some of the football we played, you see the movement and the pass and the first time, no kicking around a back four and all that rubbish. It was just bang, 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 and it was as if our players were blindfolded and yet knew where everybody was.
They were instinctive. Weird. Very instinctive,
very much so, Neil. Yeah,
and telepathic, and I think that's the difference. And what I love now, Melvin, is the off the ball movement. We've got it. We've sussed it. We've got it to a T. It's brilliant, amazing.
I mean, when do you think the opposition will suss out that there's 3 Chutenkos on the pitch and not 1?
What is that about? He's redefined that role, isn't he?
He's the worst left back we've ever signed. You know that, because he ain't a left back.
No,
he's one of the best footballers we've ever signed.
Yeah, he is incredible. Like,
And he loves it, doesn't he? Did you see his Did you see the passion of him?
Gives it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Gives it all of that.
Oh.
I mean, we've found another leader. We've got Jesus, we've got him, we've got Gabriel, we've got Odegaard. I mean, there's the Xhaka. There's got to be. I mean, there's half a dozen now leaders. Don't mean they're captains. There's a difference.
But
sometimes.
leaders.
Yeah.
Real
We didn't have
leaders
any, did we? Do you remember,
None.
Melvin, on this podcast a couple of years ago, we were saying, where's the leaders? We haven't got any.
Yeah,
And now we've
guys,
got people.
Guys,
Yeah.
we didn't even have any creative players. Now, literally all of them are. You know, we didn't.
Yeah.
No,
we didn't have a creative player, did
I mean,
we?
also,
No.
and I've come late to the party. I haven't brought any beer or bottles either. But I think that the cameo performance of the new signing looks
Amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
He should have DiCaprio on his back, I said before.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was saying to
he
Rich
was.
earlier that I think he's going to link up really well with Zinchenko. I don't know why. I've just got this feeling they're going to play really well together when they're pitched
Can
together.
you imagine him and Jesus as well?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
face it,
Yeah.
Martinelli is missing Jesus big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's missing
Right.
him. And I think that this guy could make the difference. I mean, it's so exciting. I mean, we've got, I know we said we've only got 11 good players. We haven't now. We've got 14, 15 now.
Well, we've got 12 now because we signed Trossard.
Well, we've got more than 12. You've got Emil Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
You know, you've got other
We've
people.
got Jesus who's injured as well to come back, so he's another one.
But what about Tommy? He reminded us why we loved him so much. He is a really good player.
Actually shut Rashford out.
We forgot about him. We all forgot about him. Oh, you know, White's there. Forget. No, Tommy is a really, really good player, and it's very unfortunate that he's not in the lineup, the starting lineup every week.
Yeah, and Tierney as well. Don't forget as well. We got Tierney, who's a very good player who's not getting enough game time at the minute either. So we have got suddenly almost from nowhere. It seems we've now seemed to have a bit more depth in the squad, don't we? And it's what we've needed. I still think we're one or two short still.
We are. It's the midfield that worries me. That's my only concern. That's where we're short because the Conga, bless him, is not up to it. I'm sorry. And you're right about Elneny. Elneny can come and do it for a couple of games, but he can't do it for a sustained period for me.
What we need, Neil, is Elneny and Lokonga mixing on Elneny's passion and wanting it with the skill of Lokonga because they're lacking both of them in those areas. And if Lokonga had Elneny's mind, desire, and everything else, he would be a very, very good
So essentially
player.
what you're saying, Melvin, is a love child between the two and accelerate their growth.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. But I don't think we can do that in the next 6 months, can we?
El Conga. That's what I'll have to call him. El Conga. That's what we need.
I like it. I like it.
El Conga, yeah.
That's a good one.
Or Locknenny. Locknenny might be good.
Oh, even better.
It's
like
Scottish.
it.
He's like got Scottish grandparents. Locknelly.
Locknenny. I like that. That's even better, actually. I like it.
That's what we need. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we do need someone like that. But is there a hybrid player out there?
Even
somewhere?
our goalkeeper position is covered, Melvin, because I like Turner. I think he's capable.
I'll tell you what.
He looks like a good keeper.
Listen, he's made some fantastic saves around the last few games. But that's two corners. He's been let himself down and the club big time. That corner yesterday, there was no forward near him. What was it? He flapped it. That was a Weetabix goal, in my opinion. It was nothing. You don't see that at this level. You wouldn't see that, I don't think, at this level with any other goalie. I'm sorry. He let that one in against Aston Villa from that same corner flag.
He did, yeah. It was the same corner, yeah.
Exactly the same. That's why I had a funny feeling when that guy was taking it. And yesterday, when it went in again, I thought, what are you doing? And I phoned up Jerome after the game. I said, Jerome, was it as bad as I thought? And he goes, it was. He said, and what's worse, he said to me, Jerome said that there was no forwards round him. And I saw it when I got home last night. There was no forwards. Why does he need four forwards? We're supposed to have a corners coach. Why does he need four of our defenders around him? He doesn't need it.
No.
Guys, listen, I have to go. I'm really sorry. I have to
speak to you soon, yeah?
Yeah, look after you. Thanks, Rich, Melvin. Nice to see you and everyone in the chat. Lovely to see everyone. All right.
Yeah.
Take care. See you soon.
Cheers, Neil.
Bye.
Great to see you, my friend. Good.
Thanks, my man.
Take it easy, mate. Appreciate
it. Bye. Bye.
So yeah, no, I mean, it was a great game yesterday. I think there's no doubt about that, and it was. I think this team are answering all the questions that we've had, and I think we were right to have the questions that we did, and the team have responded in the right way. And as well, it's funny, we were saying before that, you know, we brought Trossard in, who's a very good player. He's the right age that we needed, a little bit older, Premier League experience, adds versatility, exactly the sort of player that we were saying a couple of weeks ago. That's the sort of player that we need. We don't want to sign any more 21-year-olds or 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds. We want to sign somebody like that. And a week later, they get Trossard in, and we saw straight away what an impact he can make. You know, and
you know, I always fancied him. I mean, I don't know if it was on this pod I said it or wherever. I don't know where I say too many things, but I said about a year or so ago, he's a really good player. He gets some important goals. And but having said that, Brighton have got some amazing players. The last 2 years, well, they've produced ball. I mean, I don't know who their scouting system is, but whoever it is, we ought to buy them. About buying players. It's amazing who they've bought and who they've sold for big money. You think about it. What was wrong? Do we know what was wrong with Ben White yesterday?
Well, this is the thing. We were talking about it earlier. Now, I think could have well been a tactical issue because he was getting. Well, Rashford was causing him problems, wasn't he, down that side of the pitch in the first half? And I don't know, was Ben White 100% fit? Maybe that was why. And obviously Tomiyasu came on, and in the second half, Rashford
what difference he made?
Yeah, he didn't cause us too many problems at all, did he, Rashford? So whether it was a tactical issue, whether Ben White wasn't quite 100% fit, or I'm not really sure. But anyway, it turned out to be a good decision because Tomiyasu shut that side down, didn't he? And it worked.
What I said to my son Craig during the game, I said we ought to take off Ben White is when Ben White, the ball was his ball to win against Shaw, and to me, he looked like he bottled out And I thought I said, Craig, this ain't right. Something's not right about him. He's got to go off for Tommy because he didn't look right. A couple of things he was doing, he was like all over the place yesterday, which is unusual because he's been so consistent. So I reckon it must be an injury or something.
Yeah, must be. Potentially. Yeah, I think maybe he had a bit of an issue, but he was definitely struggling in that first half, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Terry says I thought it was because he was on a yellow card. Yeah, I mean, he was on a yellow card, and that may have influenced the decision. But you know, players get yellow cards all the time, and you don't take them off just because they've got a yellow card. So I don't know if that's the reason.
And he's not I don't think he's the type of guy that is always getting yellow cards. You're worried about him. I think Ben White's more intelligent footballer than that.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think that would have been the reason. Loki says there that McAllister in midfield and Japan winger from Brighton are good. Yeah, obviously McAllister won the World Cup, didn't he? Alexis McAllister, and Mitoma is the Japanese guy who looks a very good player.
They bought him for £3 million last season or this season.
I know they did. Yeah,
where did they get him from?
I don't know where they got him from. He's brilliant, isn't he? He's a brilliant little player.
Scored a good goal. I mean, he had one disallowed against us. It could have stood.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he scored a great goal the other day as well. Didn't you see that one he scored at the weekend?
He bent it in. Yeah, bent it in.
Very similar to the one he got against us, coming in from that left-hand side. I mean, I suppose that's where Trossard plays as well, isn't it? Coming off that left-hand side, Martinelli as well. So we've probably covered in that area now, but he is a very good player, Mitoma, definitely, and he's would have been a good signing maybe before, but not so much now, maybe. But no, I mean, I'm happy with Trossard. He looks a good player. I think he's, that's the sort of player where when we against Newcastle, we had no one to come on the off the bench to turn the game. And on Sunday, we had him to come off the bench, and he helped turn the game because he played an important part in the goal, didn't he? So,
and I think that Trossard will really. I think they should. I think Martinelli might need a rest. I don't know what it is. He's missing Jesus or something's not right. Even when he cut inside a couple of times in the first half, he would have taken. He just wasn't at it. He wasn't at the game. And, all right, he didn't get past the right back, who had a terrific game yesterday. But even when he did cut inside and beat him on the inside, normally he'd have a shot. He'd put a great centre, and he was like all over the place. I think his confidence is a bit low, Richard. I really do. Had that against Newcastle, he struggled as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, maybe that is a reason. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. And I think now we've got Trossard, we can give him a rest.
Yeah.
And that could be a positive. I mean, maybe I think on Friday, Trossard will play anyway in the FA Cup. Loki says Trossard like a Lundberg in the making. Yeah, I mean, I said that on Sunday when he came on, because obviously Lundberg came on against Man United for his debut and scored, didn't he? And went on to have a great career. And I was thinking maybe Trossard would come on and score against Man United like Lundberg did. And he didn't score, but he certainly made an impact. And I think he's going to be a great. I mean, Neil said he straight away he looked like an Arsenal player, didn't he? From the minute he walked on the pitch.
He looked terrific. I mean, from first sight, I know you can't always tell, but sometimes you look at a player after 2 minutes and go, "Yep, that'll do for me." I mean, I felt like that when I watched Winterburn kick off for us. He played. I thought, oh my God, this geezer, there's something about him. He was playing out of position well, but you knew just something. You thought, nah, I like this guy. I don't know why. Something about him we know the story there. Brilliant.
So, no, exactly. Trossard definitely looks like he's going to be a great signing. He's exactly the sort of player we needed. So one more in this window, a little bit more experience in midfield, I think that'll be key, and that could be what takes us where we want to be. But I mean, it's all looking good at this moment in time. I mean, we were talking before, obviously, about the Man City game on Friday. Do you think there's going to be a lot of changes, or do you think he might go quite strong? Because we don't want to get hammered, do we? Well, we've got a good chance to beat him at the minute.
I think, Richard, you can pick a decent team and give a lot of people a rest. I think you can pick the Tierney's of this world. You still play Tommy, perhaps. The goalkeeper, you don't have to change, but if you can do, I'm quite confident. You can play Holding at centre half and give one of the centre halves a rest, right? I don't think it'd be the end of the world. Yeah, we ain't going to do as well with Holding as without, perhaps. But you've still got what's his name, Vieira. You've still got. I wouldn't play McKenos. I don't think he's quite ready, to be quite honest. I'm sorry to be horrible, but I don't think he's quite. He could be, but at the moment he ain't really. He's got a bit to learn, I think.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe, give him a run out as well for a bit. Give him a 45-minute. I know we should take it a bit more seriously. It's a very big competition for the club, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But you could make 4 or 5 changes, I think, and it's not the end of the world. I mean, as I say, Tierney and Tommy, goalkeeper, perhaps. One of El Neni in midfield, perhaps, instead of Xhaka, who has had another outstanding game yesterday. Never thought I'd say that, but he had another outstanding game. He was terrific. You know what he does as well, Rick, I've noticed? He seems to make his passes much quicker now. He doesn't hold on to the ball. He gets it and it's bang, he's away. He doesn't dawdle like he used to. You see his brain working a couple of years ago. Where should I give it? Now he gets it and it's gone.
Gone, yeah. Yeah,
I think
you're right. Yeah.
He needs a rest. Trossard should get a run out, hopefully. I don't know what we're going to do at centre forward. You've got to play Eddie, I suppose. You've got to play him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he'd probably need a break himself, really. But he needs a lot of. So I don't think I don't think you can make quite a few changes and not be too bothered. I mean, we're going. Let's face it, Richard. I'm not saying we will, but we're trying for gold, aren't we? We're going for gold.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. We should be now halfway through the season with 50 points. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Even if we have a fairly normal second half of the season, we're still looking at 85, 90 points, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even if the second half of the season ain't anywhere near as good, we've still got that opportunity now. And this is our chance to win the league, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
This is a big chance. And I don't think Man City, they seem to have a few issues, don't they? We've sort of said it before with Neil, Pep don't seem very happy. There seems to be one or two things behind the scenes, maybe not quite right at City at the moment. And we need to take advantage of that. Starting on Friday, go out there, beat them on Friday, knock their confidence. Then when we play them in the league coming up in February, we'll have a massive advantage, I think, if we do that. So,
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to go quite a strong team, but we do need to rest a few. You're right. We can't take too many risks. Terry says, do you think the new Polish guy will get a run out? Potentially. I don't know how fit he is, how ready to play he is. He was here at the weekend, but they only officially announced him today, didn't they? But we'll see.
Lewandowski, the Polish centre forward, he gave a big write up, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he played at the World Cup, didn't he? That defender we've just bought. Yeah. He played every game at the World Cup. So
seems could be another little coup there. It could be. You never know.
Yeah, could be cheap enough buy. He looks like a youngish player, a bit of experience at international level. Played at a World Cup. Yeah, why not? I mean, he definitely centre back.
As you know, I've been very critical of Arteta over the years on certain things, and I still maintain that because I believe some of the mistakes he made, though where he's got us now, they were still mistakes then. There's a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
But you think of what the defence he inherited, the team he inherited, the Mustafas of this world, and the other one he had there, the other geezer. What was his name? Socrates, my God. And Bellerin wasn't playing particularly well. He'd gone as a footballer. He tried to give his best, but he just wasn't quite up to it, he went in reverse gear for a little bit. And all the other people we had round and about the towns and all that, not so much the big names, which he got rid of, but other people that just weren't good enough. And look at the squad now; it is like chalk and cheese. And for him to do it in 3 years, it's unbelievable. I mean, other teams would love that, wouldn't they? To turn the clock back for 3 years and do what he's done. It's amazing. How's Spurs getting on tonight?
They were winning.
Oh, were they? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, they're still winning 1-0. Harry Kane scored, so he's got the record.
Oh, they are still winning. 20 minutes to go, though.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for Fulham. I mean, Fulham aren't a bad side this season, so I won't be surprised if they
no.
So,
oh, dear.
But yeah.
All right.
No, I mean, it's been another good week, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely. No problems there at all.
Looking forward to Friday and hopefully.
I'm missing Friday, ain't I? I'm missing Friday. Can't see it.
Why?
I'm going with James Johnson. There's an Arsenal do on Friday night. It's going to be Gilberto Silva, Ray Parlour, and Ralph Lauren all talking. Talk.
Even though the game's on.
The game wasn't on a week ago, was it? When they arranged this, was 6 months ago that the evening was booked. An evening with. Right. It was booked like 6 months ago, and the FA, or not the FA, the people who do the
be the TV, won't it?
TVs, yeah, of course it is. The TV companies went, no, we do that. So we're cattled, as they say. So we get to that, and it's not as if I could record it, get back home and not know the score. I'm sitting with like 500 other Arsenal supporters,
Yeah. Oh, well, it'd be a good night, I suppose. But
it'll be a good night. Look forward to it. Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, that'd be a really good night. Yeah, and if we lose 5-0, you won't be that bothered about missing it, will you? Let's be honest.
No, it won't be. We won't do that. We won't do that. Right, I'm on. As you know, I'm on Wednesday. We've got the show on. I've got a couple of guests on Wednesday. A couple of good guests. So we're looking forward to that.
You got 2 guests over here coming on.
Yeah, got a double.
Oh,
both said they're both up for it. Who wouldn't be? And I got a special. They're all special guests. Believe me, as you know, they're all special.
Yeah,
but I've got another one coming up on the 2nd of February, is it? No, is it the 2nd of February? Well, Wednesday 2 weeks. So whatever that is, I got someone that agreed yesterday. So really nice guy. Really looking forward to him. So that'd be good. So
because that will be because this week's 86 to 88, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is 89. The bigger year. Yeah. So
yeah, that's gonna be good, isn't it? That is gonna be good. So no, we look forward to that. As we did talk about it a little bit earlier, actually, we did go on a little bit of an 80s revival earlier in the show, actually, talking about some stuff from the 1980s in preempt of your show on Wednesday. So that is going to be really good. We will look forward to that. And then obviously Friday night is going to be a big game, and let's hope we can get through because it'll be nice to get through, wouldn't it? And get them out of the way. Then that leaves the path clear, doesn't it, for us to go all the way to Wembley and win.
If we get through, it'll be people will be shocked. People won't expect it. People are telling us that we've got to play them twice in the league, so dampen down your hopes. So if we beat them in the cup, all of a sudden it'll be hold on a minute. There'll be a lot of sleepless nights from a lot of other supporters, apart from Arsenal. But a lot of sleepless nights going, no, they can't, can they? The old question mark will be above their head all of a sudden. Listen, I'm not saying we're going to do it, but we've got a great chance.
We have. If ever they're beatable, it's now, isn't it? The way they're playing at the minute, they look a little bit all over the place. We're in a great form. So, why not go there and see what we can do? It'd be great to get through.
Yeah.
Give your score prediction then, because me and Neil have done it already. Terry did his before. Loki's done one.
I'm going to go with 1-0. We're going to nick it. 1-0.
1-0, though. We all said 2-1, actually. Terry went 3-1, but he's just optimistic, as we know. But no, I mean, I'll take a nice sneaky 1-0. I think it's going to be a good game, actually. I'm quite looking forward to it because we were saying before there's not so much pressure on us for this one because if we lose, it's Man City away. If we win, it's a massive statement, isn't it? So it's a win-win situation in many ways. And let's hope we can get through and then opens away because
it's my 40th wedding anniversary today. This is what the wife bought me. Can you see it?
Oh, wow.
It's a really good, that's from, that's from?
Is that Ruth Beck?
Yeah, fantastic stuff she's got, isn't she? And that's Highbury Matters. That's going to go up there on hopefully Wednesday night. We'll find a pin.
That is brilliant. That is my favourite ever view of, well, anywhere in the world, actually. That's the best view in the world, isn't it?
Yes, she's done it well, hasn't she? She's done it well. Look at that.
Brilliant. It is
That's
brilliant.
great.
Yeah.
So
I've got one of them. I've got a picture like that of Highbury in my downstairs toilet, actually, which is nice. It was the only place I was allowed to actually hang it, so that's why I hang it now. But it's really good. But yeah, so no, that's a great picture actually. I do like that. That is great, and so that is probably the greatest image ever there is. The flat front entrance to Highbury.
The marble halls, yeah.
Just unbelievable, yeah, the best image ever. And there'll be a lot more of that, of course, on Wednesday on the show, which is going to be good. Two special guests for the price of one. That's even better. So we look forward to that even more now on Wednesday. So definitely make sure you tune in to that show with Melvin on Wednesday, because it's a good period for Arsenal. Quite a decent time we had at the late 1980s, didn't we? When we decided that actually winning trophies was quite fun after all. After waiting a long time for some, we got a couple come along together, and it was nice. And we did enjoy that. So that was good. So we look forward to looking back on all of that. And it's, I say, very similar maybe to what's happening now in some ways, isn't it? A transition from not being particularly good to being quite good and winning trophies. And let's hope that this team can do what the George Graham team did and actually get that over the line and get it won, get the league title won, because that would be the stepping stone to what could be a period of Arsenal dominance again, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you think about it, with the team we got now, I know we spent a bit of money, but they're so young. We can take the brakes off. We don't have to spend billions of pounds all of a sudden.
No.
Just a little bit of fine tuning every season. That's all we need. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it is. You're right. And the way that this has been built now, it has took a bit of a time to get it together. And maybe it does show, doesn't it, that, you mentioned it before about kind of patience with other clubs. You look at how many managers Chelsea have had. What's happened to Everton today. Another manager at Everton's been sacked. And all these clubs are going on them constant cycles, aren't they? Getting a manager in after a year, getting rid of them, getting another manager in another year. Nothing much has changed, because you can't change much in a year, let's be honest. Although Eddie Howe's not done bad in a year at Newcastle, I suppose. But
that's been the only one, really.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, it generally takes longer. So, yeah, and maybe it is a lesson there for other clubs, but it's having that maybe courage sometimes to have that patience, because football is a very dog-eat-dog world, isn't it? And it's 2 or 3 defeats, you can go from being from being a god to getting sacked, and that's how quickly things change in football.
Cool. Look at this. Look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah, like I said, I have a full architectural set of Highbury drawings done, coming soon, circa 1980, years in the making. Wow, that looks like that's going to be fantastic. You'll have to get it on a show and show us that, actually.
Amazing.
Get it. Yeah, we need to see that. Terry says, great show again tonight, Richard. Looking forward to Wednesday, as I was working in Germany from 86 to 88. So missed all Arsenal football. Well, it was a bad time to miss it, actually, because it was a good time to be watching the club. It was great to see that transition, to experience that from the sort of early 80s when it had been quite dull to what was turned out to be quite magical under George. So it will be great to revive some of those memories again. Look back on that. That's going to be good on Wednesday. So that's all coming up on the show. So don't on the channel. So don't miss that. Definitely put that in your diary for Wednesday night, because that is going to be something very, very special as always. And obviously tonight was good, talking about Man United, and looking forward to Man City and Trossard, Leandro Trossard. What a great signing he's going to prove to be, I'm sure.
Leandro DiCaprio.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll have to call him, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, we should. DiCaprio, yeah.
DiCaprio 19. That'd be good. But yeah, so that, all positive at the moment, which is good, and it keeps getting better and better. Loki says, a full 3D model, views from anywhere. Wow. That sounds like that will be something quite special. We'll have to see that, because that looks really good. Anything Highbury is fine as far as we're concerned. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I mean, it's been another positive week, which we've enjoyed. And obviously, Melvin got kept behind for being naughty in class, so he was late getting here. But he got there in the end, which is the main thing.
I'm so frustrated, I can't tell you. Bloody hell.
Well, these things happen. These things happen. You know, Neil steps up to the mark and did a good job, so it's fine. You know, that's what you need. You see, you need squad depth. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, it's about having squad depth, having the right experience to come in and do a job when, you know, when people are missing. That's what it's all about. That's what we managed to do tonight. And Neil had a good performance. Terry says, "Night Richard and Night Magic and all in the chat. Come on, you guys." Yeah, cheers, Terry. We will see you soon, my friend. Hopefully Wednesday. You'll probably be watching on Wednesday, I'm sure, because that is going to be a great show. So yeah, it's been fun. We got about 20 minutes of Melvin as well at the end, which is nice. Unexpected 20 minutes. We were just about to finish actually, so you got there just in time. And obviously Neil as well earlier, which was good. Loki says that I'm liking this positive Arsenal, up the red and white dream machine. Cheers, all great. So cheers, Loki, for your comments as always. Always a pleasure to have you on board with us, and so hopefully we'll see you in the week through the other shows. You know, we've got a busy week coming up. I say Melbourne's on Wednesday, the women's watch-alongs on Thursday. There's obviously the men's watch-along Friday, and then Sunday the women are in the FA Cup as well. So lots of stuff coming up, actually. Lots of good stuff to come. And Neil says, thanks for his no problem, mate. Said a great chat. Take care. Well, no, it was a great chat. It's been a good show. And I say we got some Melvin as well at the end, which is nice. So anyway, I know you wasn't on for long, Melvin, but did you enjoy it? The little bit that you got?
Yeah, and I'll watch what happened before soon. Or tomorrow morning, I might start watching a little bit of what I missed. See what that was like. Yeah, always great to get on. Always great to get on. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you can start getting on a bit more regular again soon, because we've missed you, and it'd be good to get you back. Which I'm sure we can. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you Wednesday. Anyway, we'll see a lot more of you on Wednesday for that show, which is always good. So please join Melvin for that. I'll be back Thursday for the women's game, and then Friday for the FA Cup, Manchester City. And we might go there and win. That'd be good, wouldn't it? We look forward to that. That would be good fun. And maybe the road to Wembley might open up for us again, which would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe there's a bigger trophy perhaps waiting for us in May. Might be slightly bigger one, maybe waiting. We'll see. But let's win them all. Why not? Because we can. Anyway, that's the Arsenal review for this week. Thanks obviously to Neil for earlier. Thanks to Melvin as well for popping in. See you on Wednesday for Highbury Matters. I'll see you Thursday, and of course, as always, come on, you Gunners, let's do it. 5 points clear with a game in hand. Beautiful stuff. See you later, guys.
Gives it to Saka on that far side. Bukayo Saka running at Luke Shaw, cuts inside Saka, tries to shot from 25 yards, it's in! The far corner, what a great goal that is! Bukayo Saka, the comeback is complete. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 1.